Okay, good morning everyone, and thank you guys for joining us for the St. Mary's Virtual Open House for Fall 2020. We're really excited to have you here today. Just a little bit of housekeeping. So there is a Q&A, it's live, so if you have any questions at all, feel free to type them in. Someone will be following along at all times, and we'll try to get to your question as soon as possible, but we'll definitely make sure it's answered. And if we don't know the answer, we'll definitely get back to you. So joining us first is Dr. Duncan Maclean from our Liberal Studies program. He's going to be introducing himself really quickly and then telling you about the wonderful Liberal Studies program we have here. So I'm just going to put Dr. Maclean on live here and then make sure your mic is unmuted. And then you can say hi to everyone and then we'll jump straight into talking about Liberal Studies.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Duncan Maclean. I teach philosophy at St. Mary's, and I'm also the coordinator of the liberal arts program at St. Mary's. And I'm going to tell you a little about liberal studies and hopefully attract a few of you curious minds out there. Now, Kim, how do I show my slides?
Yes, you just got to share again.
I got to share again. Okay, so. Okay, so give control, is that what I do?
Nope, there you are. Now you have control.
Oh, okay, then I will do this. There we are.
Oh, sorry, I don't think it actually works in presentation mode. Oh, there we go. Never mind. I was wrong. There we go.
It works?
Yeah, you're good to go.
Okay, here we are. There you are. Studying liberal studies at St. Mary's. Of course, we're all online right now, but one day we will be back there on the field and enjoying the campus. So liberal studies at St. Mary's, it's hard to tell what it might be just by looking at the title, liberal studies. And what I want to say first about it is that it's an interdisciplinary program, okay? And that's it's a big word, but you can see within it the word disciplinary. And this is an interdisciplinary program. So what liberal studies does is that it draws on all the various disciplines that are traditionally belonging to a university, like the science disciplines, like the humanities, for instance, religious studies or English, history, and others. There might be math and so on. And what liberal studies does is try to find a kind of synergy, to use that word, amongst the various disciplines, and to bring them all to focus at a single point of inquiry so as to engage a topic that is complex on its own. And I'll talk about that going forward. But it deals with interdisciplinary studies, recognizes that the world is a complex place, and that many perspectives, I don't know if you can see a pointer or not, but I'm pointing down to the third bullet there. It's multi-perspectival. That is, it draws on multiple perspectives in order to find the right solution for the problem that you are working on. So it's a highly creative sort of degree and studies program because it's not, oh, my colleagues won't mind me talking this way. It doesn't box you into a way of thinking about programs. Rather, it's open to explore a number of ways of treating an issue, of solving issues that belong properly, perhaps, to the various disciplines, and to bring them into focus in you as a problem solver, and then to see the world from not just one perspective, say literature, which gives you a literary perspective of the world and of literature, or of geography, which gives you a geographical perspective of the world. But we want to open you up to a multi-perspectival view of the world and to see its complexity, and to also come out of the program with the equipment, the mental equipment, to tackle those problems. Okay, so that's just a brief introduction, and I think I have an example of interdisciplinary studies at work. So suppose you want to build an android, all right? So there's a poster from a very popular movie that's about a little robot or an android or maybe a replicant if you're a fan of the Blade Runner movies. But you know, maybe one day we'll actually produce one of these things. But the question is who is going to build it? You know, is it the mathematician that's going to build it? Is it the biologist? Is it the computer scientist? Well, I suspect it's not just one of those groups. They're not individually responsible for this because they don't know everything that goes into creating artificial intelligence and indeed a lifelike machine, maybe even a human. It's cognitive science that works on this, and I actually took a course on cognitive science when I was an undergraduate student some years ago now, and the prof of the class said, hey, no, we're going to try to build a replicant like from Blade Runner, and what are all the kinds of disciplines that might come together? Now that was well before we started talking about interdisciplinarity. All right, but the point is that people have been thinking about interdisciplinarity for quite a while, and now there's theory about how this works. So if you want to build like a Rachel from Blade Runner, that's going to involve certainly computer science, and it's going to involve psychology. We have to know how people think if you're going to create a lifelike robot or a replicant who thinks like a human being, that socializes like a human being. We have to know about the nature of language and linguistics, and certainly biology. Neuroscience would certainly help people who know about how the brain operates and is connected to the rest of the body. Kinesiology, how humans actually move, the study of human movement, and so on and so forth. There's more. So my point is that you're never going to build a robot at St. Mary's. It's just not the place to do it. But this is an example of interdisciplinarity at work. Look at all these different disciplines that are required for the cognitive scientist to do his or her work. All right, a lot of background here. They're not an expert in every single thing here, but they have to have a grasp on a number of fields in order to deal with this very complex problem of making a lifelike artifact. So that's just an example. But we are at St. Mary's a liberal arts institution, not an engineering and science institution, but liberal arts in its orientation. And so I have a quote that helps to put into context interdisciplinarity within a liberal arts institution. And this is, it's by E.O. Wilson. You may have read some of Wilson's works. He's a very popular author in biology. He's won Nobel Prizes, Pulitzer Prizes, and so on and so forth. And he says about the liberal arts now, something that I think is even truer of interdisciplinarity. So this is what he says. We are drowning in information while starving for wisdom. The world henceforth will be run by synthesizers, people able to put together the right information at the right time, think critically about it, and make important choices wisely. All right, so synthesizers, that's exactly what interdisciplinarity teaches you, how to synthesize information from very different fields and to solve a problem, something that you're interested in. What are you interested in? Well, maybe it's social justice. I thought of this the other day. It might be interesting if you want to come with us in this program to tackle social justice issues, maybe particular to Calgary, but you might also have a creative side of you, and that's something you want to express. So maybe you want to do graphic novels, and you can, as your project, in the fourth year, maybe you could write a graphic novel about these social issues that you're interested in, or maybe even write a play that would be produced at St. Mary's and acted out by some of the St. Mary's actors. So you can see the creative freedom in liberal arts, but also technically it involves synthesizing information and investigative approaches from different disciplines. Okay, so you have to understand what we teach you is the theory of interdisciplinarity, and your particular interests then start to come together in an interdisciplinary way and expressed in a project in the fourth year. That project may very well just be a paper, which is the kind of thing I would do, but maybe you're more interesting than me, and you'll write a play, or maybe you'll direct a movie that deals with a problem. All right, so it's academic work, but the way that your thinking is expressed is quite open to us. Okay, so maybe you have wide-ranging interests and you don't know which program to really settle down in. Well, you don't have to settle down in a particular traditional disciplinary program if you want to keep many of your interests and abilities active all at the same time. You may want to join us in liberal arts. Now, what Wilson was saying there is also interdisciplinary, as I've been trying to explain, and he was an interdisciplinarian as well before we started talking about interdisciplinary approach to knowledge. So why then be a liberal studies student? Well, I think I just mentioned this one. You may have many interests that you wish to explore, okay? Maybe you don't feel, maybe you're interested in history, but you don't want to commit to history full time and make that the core of your studies. Maybe you want to explore historical topics through creative design and things like this. Still academic work, but within liberal studies, there's room for expression. Or maybe you want to combine some history work with politics in a interdisciplinary liberal studies project. We would be very interested in that. Okay. Perhaps you also recognize that collaboration produces unique solutions. So there's opportunities for you to work with other people with different interests. Because of the broad scope of interdisciplinary studies, you will meet other students who have maybe very different interests than yours and are putting things together to solve a problem or complete a project in a way that's different from you, but you get interesting ideas from them, and you might even do a side project together. And indeed, within you as the individual student, if you recognize that collaboration produces unique solutions, you're going to be getting your work is to get your interests working together in collaboration to produce something interesting. You are creative, perhaps, and you like to think outside the box. Well, if I were truly creative, I could have found a better cliche than outside the box, but that's the point right there, okay? So interdisciplinarity in the liberal studies program is outside the box thinking and asks you to be highly creative and inventive with the things that you're learning. And also you have to think about, your careers and things coming out of university after 3 or 4 years. And liberal studies teaches you to think big, okay? Because we are looking to different disciplines for inspiration and methodology and investigative tools. Your wide scope and interest in many things, and your ability to analyze the complexity of events and individual things in the world is very attractive to employers. Okay, that is, you haven't been boxed into a particular way of seeing the world. You will have a broad perspective of the world coming out of our program. Maybe I should just ask Kim, are there any questions so far? Kim, can you hear me?
Currently, there are no questions, but that's a great reminder. So if you are one of our audience members right now, there is a Q&A. It's live. You can ask questions at any time.
Yeah. Okay, just a few more slides then. So here are some current problems, big ones, that require interdisciplinary solutions, like the pandemic that we're living through right now. The pandemic requires interdisciplinary solution, the kind that we, the approach to knowledge that we take in liberal studies is interdisciplinary. And the pandemic is, well, I think we've seen it playing out for the past 8 or 9 months, that it's a complex problem. Just to pick the simplest elements of it, the health concerns of the pandemic may suggest shutting down some of social life and the economy in order to protect people's lives. On the other hand, the economy is a very important element of society. But if we leave it completely open, as it was prior to the pandemic, then people will get sick. So you can see there's a tremendous tension there between those two perspectives. An interdisciplinary solution is the only way to deal with the pandemic, and it's going to be a difficult one. And it will involve health concerns, economic concerns, politics around the virus. We have seen that. International security, food security, social justice issues, all sorts of things are making themselves evident now in light of the pandemic, and countries' individual solutions to it will have to be interdisciplinary, taking all these things into consideration and trying to find a solution that does justice to each of those perspectives. And so again, just to go back to E.O. Wilson's quote, future thinkers like yourselves, future leaders, need to be synthesizers and understand the big picture in order to make wise decisions. Social justice issues are also complex, and interdisciplinary solutions are required. There are issues here of race and economics and history, and maybe psychological problems involved. I'm just kind of speaking generally here about various issues, housing problems. So anyways, social justice, if you're interested in working in those areas, are complex and require interdisciplinary solutions. That is, you have to understand people's plights from various perspectives in order to help them out. Environmental problems as well. Here's issues of wildlife biology, perhaps, and versus, well, not versus, but working in conjunction with the economy, and city growth and agriculture, and a whole host of problems, a whole host of issues that need to come to bear on environmental problems together. Okay, so again, a synthesis is required in order to address the issue of, let's say, the loss of habitat for the burrowing owl in the south of Alberta. Okay, so we're not talking about androids here, of course. We are talking about issues that are important to the people who come to St. Mary's and other people as well, of course. So what would your liberal studies program look like? Well, it involves, on the one hand, never mind that list of things I got there right now. It involves, on the one hand, some core liberal studies courses in the first and third and fourth years that teach you the theory of liberal and interdisciplinary studies. Okay, so you spend your time at St. Mary's learning about it, but at the same time you want to develop a concentration in one of these areas, and there are more on the horizon as well. But you could study a concentration of your courses could be in business management, right? So you're a liberal studies interdisciplinarian who's concentrating your focus on business management. All right, that'd be very interesting and also highly desirable by future employers. Canadian studies, drama, English, family studies, history, philosophy. Here you might be working with me a bit. There are political studies. Psychology is very common concentration for our students, and so is sociology at the bottom of the list there. So we have a lot of students in sociology and psychology who are liberal studies majors, and you can do science studies as well. On the horizon, we will be having, I think this year, we will introduce the Indigenous studies concentration within liberal studies, and we're in early talks about environmental studies within liberal studies, so you could take that as a concentration. Okay, and so again, if you take one of these as a concentration, that doesn't put the blinders up to any of these other areas of study, nor any other that are on campus. It just means that you're focusing on this area, but your approach to knowledge is open and interdisciplinary, and you want to find ways that things work together in these many interests of yours. And so just looking ahead to careers then, law, we just had a liberal arts student go into a law program in Ontario. Medicine is another career option. Medical issues are complex, of course, and the right solution is a tricky one to find. You have to balance many interests in both the patient and in the doctor, and so a background in liberal studies, interdisciplinary studies, prepares you for that kind of broad perspective and juggling many issues at once. Government is looking for these kind of people as policymakers, and so are NGOs, those non-governmental agencies who may work within Canada or in overseas. Business, I mentioned already, will be interested in you. The arts, perhaps you want to flourish as an artist, but maybe you're an artist with a vision and goals and topics in mind. We can help motivate you, get you moving in the right direction. And also education is a very popular, well, let's say liberal arts at St. Mary's is popular for those students who want to go into education, that know that they want to become teachers, especially K to 10 range there. Liberal studies is an excellent avenue for you to take, whether into the St. Mary's education program or somewhere else. So that's me, and you can reach me there if you're interested in liberal studies. If you want more information, I would be happy to write to you, and we can carry on a conversation about what might be right for you. And I think that's the end of my presentation there, Kim.
Awesome. Thank you so much there, Dr. Maclean. I'm going to throw your video back up on because we have a couple of questions. Okay. And so it would be nice to see your face while you answer them. So the first question we have from TJ is, would the liberal arts program be the best route for someone who wants to become a genealogist?
A genealogist? Well, yes, not bad. You could take science studies with us, and a genealogist, you'll be wanting to do a lot of science. And I think this is a question, TJ, that we'll have to investigate. If you want to email me, I can do some research on this because I haven't had that question in particular. So you'll be wanting to take biology and chemistry and biochem. But if you want to be a genealogist, you're looking at graduate work. And it may be that a liberal studies program is a good place to start. So I would steer you strongly towards the sciences, and liberal, if you want to concentrate in the sciences through liberal studies, we could certainly make that work for you and figure out what is best for your career path.
Awesome. So the next question is, you mentioned a fourth year project, so that would be the capstone research project.
Yeah.
Is this something equivalent or similar to a thesis? If you wanted to expand a little bit about the project or maybe give some examples?
Yeah. A lot of students do opt for the thesis, and it's about a 25-page paper. And that's fine. A lot of students are comfortable with writing. Students become good at writing at university, of course, and they want to, work on that skill, and they feel comfortable with it. But that's not required. So, but there is, yes. So this is in response to the capstone project, where in the fourth year, usually in the winter term, you will be working on your project. It doesn't have to be a lengthy paper, and there are people here to help you with your paper, including me. But you'll be working with an instructor, Dr. Sean Cook, in all likelihood, will be teaching your fourth year courses by the time you're there. And you're interested then in some particular problem and dealing with that problem in an interdisciplinary way, that is from multiple perspectives. Outside of the writing project, you could, I think it'd be great if somebody who had creative impulses wrote a play and worked through the dialogues and dealing with some very serious issue. That'd be really interesting to see what came out of that. That would be acceptable as academic work. Someone last year directed a movie. This fellow wants to go into documentary movies, and he produced a movie with the help of a local production company. We got him in touch with them, and he developed a short film about social justice, and now he is off and exploring his options in film. So you can see that the project is not limited to a writing, a long paper, although a lot of students take that route. So you'll get a sense of that in the years ahead.
Awesome.
What your project might look like. Yeah.
Awesome. So we have a couple more minutes. If the audience, you guys have any questions, feel free to type them. We would be happy to answer them right now. But I have some questions for you if we're just waiting for some to roll in.
Yeah.
So what are one or two of the students that you mentored or taught doing now? I think a lot of our prospective students are always interested in knowing about alumni. Sure.
So I've only been teaching into this program for 1 year, so I have a few students, and it was, yeah. So I only have one student who is an alumnus. He's at the law school. I was mentioning him earlier. He's off and he's studying corporate law in Ontario. And I don't know what his project was. I taught him the third year course. And he was doing that at the same time as his fourth year courses. Sometimes that happens. We discourage it, however. So he launched off into the world in April. And that's my only student, because the third year courses I was teaching last winter are in the fourth year now. And so I'll see what they get up to next year.
Awesome. So one last question before we move on to our next program. What are students surprised to find that they learn in your class or in the liberal studies program?
How much there is to learn about the world. Because we're not narrow focused and we're open. I mean, if you enjoy, programs on space and on history and all these things. That's what's going on in our program, is exploration of the techniques and investigative tools of all of these widely interested things that we take notice of. So we're not narrow focused, and I think students, really come to appreciate the scope of a university and the vastness of the world and their abilities to understand it.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time today, Dr. Maclean. I have thrown your email into that Q&A there, so if you are interested in connecting with Dr. Duncan Maclean to learn a little bit more, so for example, if you wanted to learn more about genealogy and how you can get to that route, feel free to send him an email and he would be happy to connect with you.
Okay.
Perfect.
Well, thank you, Kim, and I hope everybody has a good day.
Thank you. All right, I'm just going to throw myself back up on video here for everyone. Hello. Yeah, you can exit. Thank you. So just a really quick introduction. If you are just joining us, my name is Kim. I am the recruitment officer for St. Mary's. So usually I'm the first person that people talk to if they want to learn about our admission requirements or our programs. So up next, we have Dr. Scott Lovell from our biology program. And I'm going to throw Dr. Lovell's video up here for you all to see. Oh, no. Dr. Lovell, you there? Sorry, your mic is just off right now.
Yeah, sorry.
Perfect.
Sorry,
are we going straight to the PowerPoint, I guess?
We can. We want to. It should be ready
Perfect.
to go.
Awesome. So I will send that up for you, and then you should be able to see that.
Perfect.
There you go.
Perfect. Good morning. Welcome to St. Mary's University. Hope you're having a nice day so far and learning about what we actually do here at St. Mary's. So my name is Scott Lovell. I'm the area chair for natural and mathematical sciences. So today I'm going to be talking about, sorry about this, this seems to be on some sort of setting thing, so bear with me for a minute. So I'll be talking kind of about biology here at St. Mary's University. And so when we talk about this, what we're really talking about is we have a 4-year Bachelor of Science degree here at St. Mary's. So if you come here for science and biology, you spend 4 years getting a degree in science for the most part. It's a general degree. We don't have any specific majors like other universities, but I will talk about that in just a minute. We're nested in a liberal science university. St. Mary's was founded approximately 30 years ago. Our degree program, our biology degree program, is 5 years old, so we have 5 years of students graduating. But being nested in the liberal science or liberal studies university has a lot of benefits, and I want to talk about that. Number one, we have very small class sizes. I looked at, for the last 10 years, we've averaged around 40 students per introductory class. So that's intro science, that's intro bio and intro chem, around 40 students. It varies from year to year, but that's as many as would be in a lecture section for our classes. If we had more than that, we'd have a second lecture section. So capped kind of at 40. So small classes are good. Lots of labs, and our labs cover a variety of topics. So give you a variety of exposure to topics that you maybe never have thought about as being biological related. You may not have been interested in them until you've actually had them. So that's kind of nice as well. Our campus is adjacent and backs right up to Fish Creek Provincial Park. We work with the park and do a lot of data collection, real world data collection, actually in the park itself, which is nice. All of our graduating students do an independent project working with one of our faculty members. And so they get real world experience doing a project, coming up with a question, designing that experiment with help from the faculty, and then actually conducting it and writing a paper and presenting a poster about it at the end of the year. So I find that to be very beneficial, and the students realize that they have skills they didn't realize that they've had. So our faculty, we have 4 full-time science faculty. We have 3 biologists and 1 chemist. 2 of us are ecologists. The other's molecular biologist, but also works with things called water bears or tardigrades. So kind of exciting. These guys have been up to space and so forth. After you were to graduate from St. Mary's, so you've gone through, you've got your Bachelor of Science degree, what could you do with it? You can go to professional school, and I'm talking about medical school, I'm talking about vet school, DVM, I'm talking about dentistry, DDS, so professional school where you take what you have at St. Mary's and then add on to it. You can also do education if you wanted to as well, or you could go into graduate school. If you find you really like biology and want to continue on doing research and so forth, you would go to graduate school in biology and ecology and molecular biology and genetics. Really, what has whet your appetite here at St. Mary's is what you could do in graduate school. And so you could do a master's or PhD there. And we're going to talk later on about a bunch of careers you could do with just simply getting your Bachelor of Science degree and just simply saying, I'm done with school, but what can you do with that? Because that's something that you and your parents obviously probably have a question about. What can I do once I've spent all this money and he spent or she spent all this time here getting a degree? What can she do? And during the course of this or over the next couple of weeks, if you have any questions about biology here at St. Mary's, please don't hesitate to email me. There's my email address at the bottom of this slide. I'm happy to answer any question. Again, I'm Scott Lovell. And just say I was at the open house and here's the question. And again, I will answer any question that you have. So just kind of talking about admissions requirements. I know some people have talked about that already. In addition to our basic St. Mary's, sorry about that, St. Mary's research requirements, we also have a couple more just specific to bio. So in order to go directly into biology out of high school, we need you to have Bio 30, Chem 30, and Mathematics 30-1, and you need at least a 50% in each of those courses. Okay, let's say you want to go into biology, but you don't have those courses yet. Are you planning on upgrading? Don't fear, that's not a problem. You can still apply to St. Mary's, start taking courses here with your other elective courses. You could take your English courses, your history courses, your math courses while you're upgrading. Once you're done upgrading, you could be admitted into biological sciences and then start taking the biology classes. So this is not, yes, it's an extra step to jump through to get admitted, but it should not be a hindrance if you don't have that already. So that's something to think about. And if you have questions while this is going on, please put them in the question and answer window, and I'll be happy to answer it either now or at the end of this. So I thought I would just kind of show you what a basic typical first year course load looks like. This is a question I get quite a bit from students and their parents. What would he be taking their first year? And this first year is typical at any Alberta university, all 26 universities in Alberta. If you're doing kind of a biology degree, this would be kind of just the basic overall skeleton of courses you would take. Actually, the first 2 years of sciences are the same across the board at any institution here in the province. So in the fall, you would be taking Intro Bio, which has a lecture and a lab. You'd be taking Intro Chemistry, that has a lecture and a lab, physics, lecture and a lab, English, and then some sort of elective. Just so we're clear, this is just recommended. You can pick and choose how you want to do your courses, but you do have to put them in a certain order because other courses later on in your third and fourth year have prerequisites, and you need to have those prerequisites to get into that course. So in the winter of your first year, after your cruise through your fall, you're kind of getting your footing. You're like, okay, I can do this. This is not that difficult if I stay on top of things and great at time management. Look, in the winter, you're gonna do Intro Bio again. This is animal and plant biology. You have a lab associated with that. More general chemistry with a lab, some math, some English, and an elective. But again, you can kind of fit this to your schedule and what your needs are. So just to give you an idea, this is a full course load. So this is 5 courses per semester, which equals 15 credit hours. And this is as many courses as typically you can take in a semester. And if you do a full course load, 5 courses for 4 years, you will graduate in 4 years. But look what I have at the bottom there. So you're going to be in lecture 3 hours a week for every course. So in Intro Bio, that's 3 hours of lecture. Intro Chem, that's 3 hours. Mechanics, that's 3 hours. English, 3 hours. Elective, that's 3 hours. And in those courses that have a lab, you're in lab for 3 hours additional to the lecture time. So this is a very busy schedule. And I always suggest those that are kind of coming straight out of high school into this, you want to ease into university. We want you to have a good experience. We really want you to benefit from what St. Mary's has to offer. And so I always suggest maybe not do a full load the first time, maybe even take 4 courses or 3 just to kind of get your footing. And there are some drawbacks to that. You won't graduate in 4 years, and some professional degrees like medicine and veterinary medicine kind of require that you take a full load for at least a couple of years. So always be aware of that, but that should give you a general idea of really kind of what we're doing. And so kind of just to give you an idea of what our graduates have done. So I've said our degree's been around for 5 years. This is what our graduates in those 5 years have gone on to do. We have several students right now in graduate school. One's at the U of C, one's at the University of Lethbridge, one's at the University of Toronto, one's at the U of A, one's in the States. So we have lots of graduates going to graduate school to do a master's, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, a PhD later on in the field of biology that they've chosen. We have several students that have gone to medical school at the U of C. Veterinary school, we have someone who went directly from our program without graduating. She had all the course requirements to get into veterinary school, so she didn't graduate from St. Mary's, but got her courses here at St. Mary's and then went on to veterinary school at U of C. Dentistry, we have 2 students that are in dentistry. Our education program is a nice option for a lot of our students who are not sure really what they want to do after graduating. They could do a 2-year after degree and be an elementary or high school teacher here in the province of Alberta. That's always a nice option, and you'd be using your degree, which is always fantastic for both students and their parents. Chiropractor, we have 2 students that are going into chiropractic. Pharmaceutical sales, this is someone that just has a Bachelor of Science degree and now is selling pharmaceuticals for major pharmaceutical firms in Canada. We have some provincial employees working in the fisheries institutions in BC. Environmental consulting is a very popular one with our students with a Bachelor of Science degree. Lots of consulting firms here in Calgary that go and do an environmental consulting before you do any major oil or gas or construction project. So that is one you can do very readily, and you'll have the skills once you leave here to actually do that. Most people, it's going to be a surprise, get a degree in something, but don't continue on with that. So my father has a degree in English. He's a businessman. He never did anything with it. So you necessarily don't have to do something that is science specific if you have a science degree. Just something to think about. I don't want to dissuade you at all, but something to keep in the back of your mind. We have several people going into physiotherapy. We have several students that are professional biologists. After you graduate, this is kind of another step you can get to apply for, and you can get hired by working in the oil sands to chase wildlife away from the tailings ponds and so forth. And we've also had several students do international internships in biology specifically. I've had 2 students go down to Belize and work banding birds, catching mammals, and doing all kinds of things down there. So our graduates do things is I guess kind of the main thing on this this slide here. Do we have any questions yet, Kim?
Not at the moment, but okay. Great reminder.
I thought I'd check. Perfect. So instead of continuing to give you slides with a lot of words on it, I'm just going to give you slides with pictures and show what our students are actually up to. And if this jogs your memory or question, and you have any questions, please let me know. As most of our faculty are ecologists, we do try to connect our students to the environment through our sciences, but also through our connection with our Indigenous studies as well. We really want you to understand the environment and the land associated with it and how it all interplays with one another. And again, since we're a small university, since we are close to Fish Creek, a lot of our labs are outdoors collecting data. I'm one of those that is an ecologist. I'm a bird ecologist, and I believe the best way for students to learn and get excited about this and science itself is to get out and actually get hands-on, dirty, and collect data. So lots of data collection in my courses. We do several field study trips. We do two. We do one to Bamfield. This is over Reading Week, typically in February. It's a marine biology course. The students, sorry about that. The students take a marine biology course where prior to going to Bamfield, they're learning all the different organisms that they're going to see in Bamfield. Bamfield is on Vancouver Island on the west coast. It's one of the preeminent field stations in the world. It's owned by UBC, UVic, U of C, and U of A, and several others. So they go out there and actually learn how to collect a bunch of different marine species and identify them and do studies on them and so forth. So that's one of our trips that we really enjoy. Typically, we get between 10 and 12 students going on that. So that's always a highlight. That's offered every 2 years. So I talked already, all of our graduating students are going to do a senior project in their last year where they are actually working with one of the faculty members, designing an experiment, collecting data, analyzing the data, and writing it up. So here's one project here. Keegan here was working at Lake Midnapore, collecting sediment. So just the soil and the nutrients at the bottom of these lakes to generate microbial fuel cells. So being able to make really a battery out of sediment in a lake was his project. And now we use this actually in one of our labs. So he's designed a lab we actually now use at St. Mary's. So that's pretty exciting. We also do field trips, not just to Bamfield, but I take a group to Belize. We spend 7 days in country. We spend 4 days in the rainforest and the jungle, learning about all the different animals and plants. We do bird banding, we do bat capture, we do caving, we do all kinds of things in country. And then we go out to one of the keys, one of the islands, because Belize has the second largest reef system in the world. We spend 3 days out on our private island, snorkeling, learning about all the fish, identifying that. And the students, before we go to Belize, I make them learn about 200 different species of birds, about 50 species of fish, mammals, and so forth. And so they know what they're seeing, and we collect a nice data set for them to actually look at. So that is a trip that people typically really like. It's offered every 2 years. Here's a chemistry lab here. We do lots of hands-on experiments. Most universities here in the province, if you go to a lab, if it's a very large university, only offer maybe 6 lab sections a semester because they have so many students and so forth. Our labs are so small that we do offer labs almost every week. So you get exposed to a ton of different ideas, projects, and concepts. And again, learning skills you can put on your resume. These guys are learning to pipette and pipette something. That's a skill that employers like. So I always say, why don't you put that on your resume that you know how to do X, Y, and Z? It makes a lot of sense there. So hands-on chemistry labs. So when we do vertebrate zoology, so we're looking at things with backbones. So fish, birds, mammals, amphibians, and reptiles. I take the group out for a weekend at the Kananaskis country where we trap small mammals. And we go look at the eagle migration and look for various other vertebrates during the weekend. And it's nice just to spend some time with the students in not a formal setting. They have a dorm, I have a duplex, but we do hang out in the dorm, play cards at night, play Cards Against Humanity and stuff. I really get to know them as a person. And that's one of the things with a small university that's so important. I can write a very personalized reference letter. I've seen you grow for 4 years. I know your strengths and your weaknesses, and I can write a very comprehensive letter to get you a job, to get you into graduate school, to get you into professional school. So that's something to think about as well. So this is one of our labs from our introductory ecology lab. So we're in Fish Creek. So FCPP is Fish Creek Provincial Park. We're looking at water quality. So we're sampling water from various places along the creek, and the students are measuring oxygen, looking for invertebrates, and measuring how clear the water is. So we're doing that. So hands-on labs. Yes, that water is a little chilly in the fall. Every student does a senior project. And so here's some during the summertime, looking at tardigrades, those little tiny water bears that have been to space. They're little things that live in algae. And also looking at mycorrhiza. So these are bacteria that latch onto the roots of plants that help them fix nitrogen and allow them to grow. So we have lots of interesting projects that really deal with our faculty interests. So we do have one faculty member who is a specialist on tardigrades, those water bears. One of the other faculty members is an ecologist that looks at this mycorrhiza, looks at ants, looks at vegetation in Fish Creek Provincial Park. I'm a bird biologist, so I do a lot of bird work, mainly song and DNA work. So this is one of the labs I have my students do for advanced ecology. They go out into the park and they're looking for lichens. So on that tree, you see the little orange stuff all over the tree. Those are lichens. Lichens are very sensitive to pollution. And so we're just simply surveying how many lichens are in various places in the park. And we tried to say, is there a relationship between vehicle traffic and the number of lichens we see throughout Fish Creek Park? So the park helped us gather data on that. And again, just kind of showing you, Belize is not all fun and games. Yes, we're snorkeling. Yes, we're paddle boarding. Yes, we're cave tubing in a way, but they actually have to do data analysis and data collection, and that's what they're doing here. They don't look excited about it, but trust me, they were more excited than this picture lets on. We have a conservation biology course where all of the students are grouped together and paired with an organization to help them do some sort of conservation type idea. This was one where they worked with the park to actually clean up Fish Creek from the flood of 2013. So lots of different things we can do here. Again, getting you experience doing this is really going to make you decide, is this something you want to do or not? And again, here's some more plant communities. They're looking at variation in plant communities in Fish Creek Park. So lots of things going on here. We make our intro students do diversity projects. So 233, that intro part in the winter is plant and animal biology. We make you kind of come up with a diversity project. So having these smaller class sizes allow you to use your creativity to come up with these projects. So this is not always just lecture, lecture, lecture. A lot of this is actual discussion, paper reading, you using your creativity to come up with various things. So this was a diversity project on the variability in the common house cat. And some more Banfield stuff. They're collecting data, very wet. Again, some more chemistry labs. Doing actual chemistry is always exciting. This is a study. This is a pretty exciting results here. This student was actually looking at ants in Fish Creek and found a super colony. This super colony of ants extends this mound of ants. So these ants build mounds over 4 kilometers in the park. All these ants are related to one another for 4 kilometers. So kind of an exciting find. Unexpected find as well in the park.
Hey, Dr. Lovell, I
Yes.
have a question.
Sure.
Someone asked, what kind of qualities should applicants have?
That's a good question. Be ready to work hard and be excited. I think that's really important. A lot of people kind of come into, to school because their parents make them, or they think it's a way to advance their life or something. Make sure you want to be here. And if you do your best. Always stay on top of your work and be excited about it. And I'll tell you right now, not all topics are very exciting, but you find topics that are, that's going to make you a much more well-rounded person and something you're going to actually enjoy. So, come prepared for work. Time management is super important coming into university. That's something we say all the time. Students really don't believe their teachers a lot, but it is very important. Time management is huge.
Thank you. I did have some other questions. If you didn't want to kind of go through the PowerPoint anymore, is it okay if I throw your video up?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Sure. Awesome. So you talked a lot about graduates, which is totally fantastic. Can Can you talk a little bit maybe about any majors or minors that students might combine with this, the biology program?
Yes. So what's interesting, and I always get this about once or twice a year, students come up to me and say, I'm getting a minor in history, Dr. Lovell. I didn't even know. So being in this liberal arts institution, yes, you're getting your major is biology. Your degree is going to be in biology, but you're taking all of these history courses, English courses, philosophy courses, a religion course. And if you take 6 of those courses, you have a minor in it. So you can get a minor in history or English or psychology without really even thinking about it, just how we've set up this degree. And so you can, if you like history, you can get a minor in history for sure and get a major in biology, or vice versa. You could go either way. I'm not being biased against history by any stretch.
Perfect. We do have another question. Someone asked, what's the teaching approach now with COVID?
So that's a great question, and I think that's a question that all universities right now are dealing with. For right now, all of our lectures, for the most part, are virtual. And so we're using D2L and doing virtual lectures. We had a discussion in pretty much May through August about what to do with their labs. Labs are a place where students get hands-on experience and get skills that they can't get from watching me do it on a video or, you know, watching a YouTube video. And so we do currently have in our courses, we do have in-person labs for several of our courses. So our intro bio lab, our intro chem lab, our invertebrate zoology lab, and my ecology lab are in person at the moment. And so we have a ton of precautions. They have to wear a mask the entire time. We have made our labs very small, where we only have 10 students at a time in the lab during the lab section. And they have to take a self-assessment before coming to lab. So we have every precaution available where you will feel comfortable in the lab. And we also have contingency plans if we have to shut down again, or if we have an outbreak on campus. We have virtual labs we can do. It's not going to be the same, but you'd at least have some idea of what we would be doing in person.
Fantastic. Another question someone asked, is the mechanics physics course introductory? Do you recommend physics 30 in high school?
I'm not a big physics person. I've only taken one physics course. We don't accept physics 30 to get into biology, but if you like physics, please stay in it and take it. But just remember, if you do want to get directly into the biology program here at St. Mary's, you're going to have 50% in Bio 30, Math 30-1, and Chem 30. So just remember that. Physics is, I believe, an introductory course. You have to take 1 semester of physics, I believe. Most students put that off until their 4th year. Then they really struggle with it. So I'd suggest just get it over with. And you do have to take it at some point.
Great advice. So we've got another question rolling in here. I think you mentioned this, but what is the average class size for the program?
So our average class size, I've looked at 10 years of data for our intro students. So that's our first year courses, and they average about 40 students. So that would be our maximum we'd have in a lecture section. Our labs aren't that big, obviously. In a normal non-COVID time, our labs are capped at 20 students each. So you would only have 20 students in a lab at a time. For COVID right now, we've halved that, so we only have 10 students in the lab at a time. And kind of going up, our second year, we do lose some students, or students transfer, decide university's not for them. We usually have maybe around 30 students the second year, and third and fourth year, we have 20. And so that we are averaging about 20 students a year, a little under that graduating for the last 3 years.
That's awesome to hear. Yeah, those small class sizes are really great for engagement and maximizing your learning.
Exactly. We don't have to do just straight lectures. We can have classroom discussions. We can have presentations by you all. So it really opens up what we can do, and we can accommodate lots of different learning styles.
Awesome. I'll give you a question since we don't have any right now, but what's your favorite way to work with students one-on-one in your courses or outside of class?
I like to have them actually get hands-on and actually start learning and how to collect data appropriately and what to do with it. And so getting them out there and showing them things they've never really thought about and seeing that light bulb go on that, oh man, that's cool. That makes my day. That makes this coming to class, coming to school, coming to work worthwhile. And so really, mentoring students and making sure they really understand what concept we're trying to teach them about in that lecture or in that lab situation. And so I will stop what we're doing just to make sure everyone really understands that major concept before we really go forward.
Perfect. So this brings us to the end of your session. I have thrown Dr. Scott Lovell's email address into the side. So if you wanted to learn more about biology and you wanted to connect with him specifically, please feel free to send him an email. Any final thoughts or comments before you log off here?
I just want to say thank you very much. I hope you've learned something about St. Mary's, and please, again, don't hesitate to email me or anyone else here to get the information that you need. And I hope you have a good rest of your weekend, snow not included, or unless you like it. So have a great weekend.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kim.
All right, I am back on live on screen. And up next, we have Dr. Jocelyn Williams from our English program. So Dr. Williams doesn't have a PowerPoint, so we're going to do kind of that Q&A style again. And so I will put Dr. Williams up and she can introduce herself. And there you are.
Hello. Thank you for having me here today. I hope that we have some potentially excited, they're not even potentially excited, students who are interested in St. Mary's, and I can't wait to tell you all about our English degree. I am one of the English professors, and I'm also the chair of humanities, and so I do some administrative work as well as teach lots of 20th and 21st century courses. So Kim can ask away and you can ask away, and I will answer as many questions as I possibly can.
Perfect. So can you tell us a little bit about the English program? What do students learn? What do you guys do?
Sure. So we have 2 degrees. We have a 4-year English degree, which is our most popular, and we have a 3-year English degree, which is also readily available and can open career doors for you. For example, you can still go on to your Bachelor of Education with the 3-year English degree, especially in elementary. And we also teach our core courses. So you must take English 200A and B, which are surveys of English literature. And that's everybody who goes to St. Mary's must take these courses. They not only open up all of the other English courses to you, but they build skills across the curriculum. So we believe we're supporting all of your studies in teaching you how to think critically and write critically. So we're here to greet you, hopefully in your first year in those English 200A and B courses, and build all those skills that you might feel like you didn't master in high school. I talk to a lot of high school students. I have 2 teenage daughters who are in high school, and sometimes they're intimidated and they wish that they didn't have to take English when they got to university, and I'm here to change your mind about that. I think you're going to arrive and love our English courses, and you won't feel intimidated because we'll build all the skills that you always wanted or that you didn't know you wanted, and you'll see how successful you can be at communicating after you have some time with us in the English degree.
Sounds so much fun. Oh my gosh. So one of the big things is in all the 4-year degrees, there is a capstone research project. Can you talk a little bit more about that and maybe provide some examples on previous projects?
Sure. I'm working from home. As you see, this is my home office, and so I don't have any of our conference papers to show you. I could, normally do a display for you. But I will say that at the end of your degree, your 4-year English degree, you get to take 2 courses. So the first is the research portion to set you up for the major project of your choice. And so this is where you write approximately 20 to 25 page paper. And again, that might sound intimidating, but I'm here today to take away all that intimidation, because by the time you get to write this paper, you are so excited about working on the thing that you've wanted to tell people about all along. So this is a subject that you get to choose. Kim has asked me to give you a few examples, and so some examples might be a student working on Indigenous literature, and so I do have this because I'm about to teach this starting on Tuesday, but 2 years ago we had a student write an amazing paper on trauma and humor in drama writing in Indigenous literature. We've had people write a film study, which doesn't sound like it's English literature per se, but it's talking about adaptation from a book to film script. And folk and fairy tales, that's a popular course that we offer in regular rotation. We also offer a course in children's literature. So every year we usually have a student particularly interested in children's literature or young adult literature, and they write a long paper on that. The really neat thing about this project is not only that you get to write on the subject that you want to, but it's an extended project, right? You get to put in your resume that you have been project manager, basically, which is a lovely thing to get to claim in the oil and gas industry, if that's in your future, or if your parents would like to think that that's in your future. Well, you get to prove that you have worked on a project for a year and executed that project. So you've begun in the planning stage, you have documented proof of how you've researched, of how you've written that research, and then you get to claim that you have presented at a conference. Because at the end of your 4 years, to conclude what we call your capstone course, this English 401, you present your research. And this is an incredible benefit to you to claim this in your resume when you're on your job search after your degree, because you've, again, engaged in a year-long project that concluded in a presentation. You also get to say that you have organized the conference. So the students together as a collective get to plan the conference, get to put together the groups that are presenting in the conference. This is your community. These are your best friends by the time you get, by the time you get to your 4th year, and you get to put on this conference where you invite your family and friends, we invite board members, we invite the larger community inside and outside of St. Mary's. And again, I don't want you to think this is intimidating. It really is celebratory, and it's celebratory of you and all the hard work that you've put into your degree. And so at the end of the year, when I ask students, tell me your favorite parts of the 4 years here with us, they say that this conference day where you're presenting your own research is every bit as exciting and fulfilling as graduation day. So
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So we did have a question come in, and they asked, are there opportunities for hands-on or work learning in the English programs?
Right, so we're really busy developing lots of work learning opportunities for you, experiential courses. Right now, I have a student doing an editorial enterprising internship. So there are 2 publications at St. Mary's of student work. One is a creative writing publication. This was 2 volumes ago, and we have a research paper publication as well. I know that I'm going to sidetrack for a second, just because this is another great thing that English faculty can do for you and St. Mary's can do for you, is that you can be a published creative writer or published in terms of your research at an undergraduate institution. If you can publish your creative work or your research, then you are ahead of the game in terms of if you're applying for grad school or even any other jobs. Again, you get to document that you are a seasoned professional and a professional in terms of your communication abilities. And so those are other lines on your resume where you get to say that you're in print. So speaking of being in print, so we have a student who is taking this course for credit. So she gets credit for being the editor of these 2 journals. So this year she is going to put together an editorial board, but she is the chief editor, and she gets to make the decisions on the manuscript. She gets to take it to print. She is apprenticing with a publisher in the city, and she is going to be the head editor of journals like this. So that's Sightlines and The Attic. We also partner with other community members, and I'm just going to hold up this book. So this was the product that came out of a government grant where we partnered with the senior citizens residents that we neighbor. And so part of work learning, this is actually goes with volunteering, but there will be opportunities in the future where you can do this volunteering for course credit. And this is where you got to go into the senior citizens residence and write their memoirs. And then again, this is a publication in your resume, but the most fulfilling experience where you got to write and learn from the older generation's life stories. And so we are designing more internship courses like these. I'm planning the timetable. So in spring, let me think, it seems so far away, but it's not. In spring 2021, yeah, this spring coming up, we're doing another internship with Pyramid Productions. And so this is a local film company, and you can take a media studies course and get that hands-on experience working in film and television.
That is amazing. That is so great to hear all of the different hands-on opportunities that you guys have, because they're really valuable things for resumes. Mm-hmm. And speaking of resumes, what are a couple of your favorite success stories of former students and lives that they lead now?
Oh, there's so many. I like to boast that any student who's gone on to do graduate work, for example, taking their master's and PhD in English literature, they come from our small university that can. It's a small campus where you don't fall through the cracks, but our degrees are every bit as a first class as a degree from another university. And so any student who's asked me to write them a reference letter has succeeded. I have never had a student be declined in their postgraduate application. So I love to tell that story. So I do have lots of students who go on to do their masters and PhDs. We have one of those students who is teaching for us. And so hopefully you'll come and you'll get to meet her teaching folklore and children's studies. So she is a St. Mary's graduate that went on to get her PhD. We have, of course, lots of teachers. What part of our degree requirement is to take some language credits. And some of you may be a Spanish-speaking household or French-speaking household. And so I have one of those students who's working at a Spanish school and is their prized teacher, winning awards every year for her contribution at that school. We have people working in speech pathology. We teach a linguistics course, and not a lot of institutions teach this linguistics course. It's still a requirement in our 4-year degree. It also counts as a language in terms of transferability at most institutions, but it really propels you into the field of speech pathology if you are applying for that graduate program. Let's see, I have a not even so recent graduate, but they all keep in touch. So I'm just, going through my all my names up here in my head. I have someone working with immigration, and that's in the city and is the manager, doing amazing things for at-risk immigrants, especially now during COVID. It's been very difficult, and he's running a wonderful program. People going into law, you'd be surprised that people have strong resumes when they're applying for medical school, because those skills that prove that you are good communicators, good bedside manners, they like to see liberal arts degrees and BAs, not just BScs. And I say that one of the special things about St. Mary's is that we are a liberal arts institution. And being a liberal arts institution, that means even if you got an English degree, you also still took your science courses. You also still have a math. If you went on into B.Ed, you need that. So you're a well-rounded student, and those are all transferable skills in every industry. So you're really good in an interview if you have a degree from St. Mary's because of our liberal arts foundation.
Wow, that is amazing to hear that so many students are keeping in touch with you because you clearly know what's going on with them.
I can't tell you how many weddings I'm invited to. I like at least 2 a summer. And yeah, I've been at St. Mary's for 15 years, and so it's amazing to see all of my students, you know, start their own families. I'll probably be teaching their kids in another 10 years, but also I have students who graduated who are teaching my children, right? So they're in the school system. I had a student when my daughters were in junior high, my student was teaching them English. So it's pretty neat to see him recycling the skills.
It's a full circle.
Yeah, it's a full circle.
We had a student, a question come in. Is your program or the courses similar to your typical high school class with reading comprehension, essays, etc.?
I love to talk about this, and yet I know it's a sensitive subject because I think, especially since many of them are about to be from my student pool, your English teachers, except you've had a very different experience probably than the experience that you were going to have in English. If you liked your English in high school, that's wonderful, and I will say we'll continue with that kind of pleasure. If you didn't, there's good news coming your way. Again, I have a pretty good idea of what it feels like for you at high school because my daughters are in those high school English courses, and there is the dreaded, I think I can say in every case, I've never heard of a high school student say, I love reading comprehension tests. And so we don't have any more reading comprehension tests. That's the good news. My daughters warned me not to tell you that we don't have any more multiple choice in English because you think, well, maybe that's easier than writing essays. But I have to be honest, and you're not going to have to do any reading comprehension, which means that you don't have to pick A, B, C, or D. If you think that that's bad news because it's more difficult to write essays, we teach you how to write those essays. In high school, your teachers have to teach many more students than we have to. We get to really focus on you and the individual needs of yours as a student. In high school, they're dealing with bigger groups, more classes, like more grade 10, more grade 11, more grade 12 classes than we have to deal with, but they're also teaching to the curriculum. And we don't have to do that. So when I'm talking to high school students, you're usually surprised to hear that your English professor at university gets to pick whatever they want to teach you. So if your English professor thinks that To Kill a Mockingbird isn't going to make you culturally aware in the way that we'd like you to be in 2020, 2021, we don't have to teach that. So we teach out of our specialties. We bring you all of the material we think will change your life and make you an informed, culturally literate citizen. And so we're not teaching those standardized texts that the government has decided that you have to learn. So we're teaching things that bring you knowledge, increase your ability to communicate, but really speak to well, you'll see our tagline across our banner if you go to our website. It's Know Your Culture. And that's what we're promising you, is that you are going to know the world that you're living in and be able to be contributing citizens in that world. We're interested in social justice. We're dedicated to social justice. And if you want the activism born in you, I don't think you can claim that that's what English is doing for you in high school, but we empower you to be able to use critical thinking and communicating and critical reading in these new ways that are important to you. Perfect.
Let's jump a little to teaching style. What kinds of group projects do your students accomplish? And how do these projects kind of benefit education beyond just classwork and one-on-one learning?
Right, that's an excellent question. I'll go back to the fourth year example first, and that is that capstone project where you and your classmates are organizing a conference together. In that 4th year, you also do a lot of peer review. And so you're really supporting each other's work and each other's strengths. You're exchanging comment on those strengths and building each other up. But we start that kind of community in your 1st year. While you don't, it's not a cohort system. It's not that the class that you see in your 1st year English is necessarily the class that you're going to be with all through, but there's a good number in there. You know, there's probably 10 people that you'll meet on that 1st day that will be in all of your classes most semesters for that whole 4 years. And so you're sharing what you're learning from that day one. You're doing peer reviews as early as your 1st year. And again, that's reading each other's work in this really supportive, guided way. Your professor will show you how to enhance your peers' work. We also have a peer mentoring group. And so this is students, successful students, usually in their 3rd or 4th year of study, and they get to share their knowledge with you, not only in paper writing, but in study skills, and how to communicate effectively in your classroom and with your professors. We have a fantastic drama program. So if you're interested in drama, whether you've taken drama or not, in high school, this is a wonderful community. It's kind of a community within a community, and so you get to explore your drama. I'm going to even call them needs, because you people who love drama are such a good group who love the expression, right? So you get together for 2-3 hours, I'm just trying to think, every week or twice a week, and this is for credit again. There are not many institutions that are able to offer you a drama study without you having to take a drama degree, but we have made it possible for you to still work on your interest in drama and fit it into another degree. And so I have students who just love working together on a play. You usually do 2 performances a year if you're in those courses. We also have lots of student clubs, and while this is not inside the class, these are extra activities that you can do, but it builds community again. So if you're interested in creative writing, we have creative writing courses. We're teaching one in the winter, creative writing poetry, but we have creative writing prose as well. And but we have student clubs that support that kind of creativity as well. For example, we have the Literary Guild, which is a creative writing student club. I am the faculty liaison there, so I meet with you every year and we work on our creative writing and send it out for publication. So lots of ways to collaborate. We really emphasize collaboration because of our small size, our small classroom size. We can work in these smaller groups within our already small classrooms and really support one another in that personalized way.
I love that, you know, extending their learning beyond the classroom. So that's fantastic. All right. So just a reminder to those in the audience, if you have any questions for our professor, feel free to type them. And in the meantime, I will move on to another question on mine. Sure. So what are students surprised to find that they learn in your classes or in your programs?
They're surprised to find how fun English is. I really do think for a lot of people, it's been very stressful in high school. You must take it in high school. And I think because students feel like it's a humanities course, that's what we call it, rather than a social science or a science course. And so students feel like it is more subjective rather than objective. So what I mean by that is that there's more than one right answer. And that's difficult to try to anticipate what it is that your teacher's looking for. It's just, and I'm talking about high school again, it's difficult to anticipate what the government is looking for because you have to write towards those provincial exams. And so I think there's a lot of fear that creeps in, and people again, students, you in high school are thinking, I'm just not cut out for this. I've talked to lots when I'm saying, well, you're coming to St. Mary's, that's wonderful. Do you know what degree you're going to take? And they don't know. And I say, well, have you considered English? And they're like, no, I'm just not good at English. So I want to tell you, yeah, you are. And I do mean that for all of you. You can be good at English, and I'm here personally, and my colleagues will show you how to be good at English. So if you've been failing, if you failed in high school, and then you finally got your credit, but you're like, I never want to take this again, and then you arrive at St. Mary's and think, oh, but I have to. I promise you that you will laugh in your classes. You will remember something in the class and want to race home and tell people it. We have really dynamic classes. I'll speak just about my own teaching style, but I just have so much fun. It's the highlight of my day. This is my job, and I'm so fortunate to be doing it. So, Christmas is fun. My birthday is fun, not as fun as me getting to be with you in the classroom. And I truly mean that. And so in some of my classes, I start a class with the song that I think is connected to the literature in some way that we're studying. I have that song playing before people enter the classroom, and I'm even doing this virtually. So virtually, I post a song online, and students listen to the song before we officially start our class. They put their favorite quotations on the board. These aren't quotations that we're going to integrate into essays. We just really like them. And we think, this has brought enjoyment to my day. And then we go into this fantastic class where we laugh and cry and have aha moments. And oh my gosh, now I'm ready to change the world for the better.
Nice. So you touched a little bit about kind of the virtual learning environment. So your English classes are usually full of discussion. It's a little harder to talk like multiple people talking virtually. So can you talk a little bit about what class looks like for you guys right now?
I was as scared as you guys are about going virtual. And so, of course, we had to do this in the spring. It looks like we're going to be doing this in the winter as well. But we're all really enjoying it. Do we enjoy it as much as seeing each other every day? Probably not, but we're all still totally committed. So I have 30 in my class. That's my cap, and all 30 of us meet every class, happy to get on there. And we've worked out a system, and so I'm the only one that has my video on, so you get to stay in your bathrobe if you like. And sometimes you see my puppy who comes up on the screen, so it's a bit more homey. There are some surprising benefits. I think you feel maybe even more connected to me in terms of understanding I'm just a human being, just like you're just a human being. We have lots of ways for you to communicate with us. And so while I'm giving a lecture and you see my video, along the side we have a live chat, and it blows up all the time. And so I'm reading your live chat, and if you have a comment that's just too long, or you're too excited to share, then you put on your microphone and we share it that way. And then so that's synchronous learning where it's happening live, but I also have set up lots of asynchronous ways for us to build community. And so we have all these boards that you can write on within our online platform. And so even outside of class time, I find I'm going there just because it just improves your day to hear from your like-minded classmates and me, your professor. So we go to those and we write even outside of class time and put things up there that we want to share, or articles that we've discovered that are fun to integrate into our research. Or so we really make a concerted effort to build community, even though we're not seeing each other in person.
That's amazing. And that's really the strength of St. Mary's, is community and connecting with one another. So we're almost near the end of our session, so this will be the last question. But lots of other universities also offer English. So why should somebody choose St. Mary's? What's unique about our English program?
We offer, again, I mentioned, the same first-class degree that will open any door you want opened for your career, but we do it in this really manageable setting. And so, as you just said, we really emphasize community. We really emphasize social justice. We don't let people fall through the cracks. I know that you've heard it before, but you truly aren't just a number. I notice if you got a haircut. I know when it's your birthday. We know you on this personal level. And I mean that in the best way, because we can support you not only in the years that you're with us as a student, but we can support you after that. As I've said, I'm still in contact with all of my students. I teach up to, let's see, a lot, 180, there's my math, students a year. And then they still write me emails and say, I'm doing this, or can you write a reference letter? I have a student who graduated 3 years ago, and she knows that I remember her. They never even start their emails with, hi, do you remember me? It's, hello, I'm sure you still have that essay that you told me you loved. Are you able to write a reference letter for me? And I'm like, absolutely, I can do that. So we can support you in these really personalized ways. We're with you here for the whole journey during university, but also afterwards.
Awesome. I actually missed 2 questions here. So the first one was, do you have any alumni that are published authors? If so, in what genres?
Oh my goodness, yes. The first one that comes to mind is, I'm just trying to think of his pen name, because I'm trying to respect his autonomy, and I see his book is at work, but he has published a novel. And he's doing fabulously. Had a book launch a year and a half ago. We have lots of published poets, and they don't have we call them chapbooks, which is their small collection of poetry. So no, actually we do have a couple who also have their chapbooks out, and then the next thing would be their larger collections of poetry. So we have published poets, we have a published novelist, we have a very successful fan fiction writer, we have a student she was one of my first students, so 15 years ago, and she went on to open a small printing press in, an indie press in Alberta. So we have very successful students
Cool.
across the genres.
Very cool. So this is the last question. So someone was wondering, can you be part of that creative writing club without doing the English degree?
Absolutely, yes. And we even have community members that are allowed to be part of that. Absolutely. And I really, because in our literary guild, this creative writing group, right now we have a psychology student, for example, who's very prolific, and we have a number of English members, but then we extend that to open it up to community. You could probably even write me, and we could mentor you a little bit, getting you ready to join this club. That would be really fun for us. Part of our initiative coming out of the Literary Guild, so again, that's the Creative Writing Club, is that and everybody's welcome, is that we try to put you in print. So we tell you ways to publish outside of St. Mary's, but again, you get to be published in here, or the opportunity to be published in there. And I even do things like, I have some mature students, and I don't know if I should reveal this yet, but the cover, the winner of the cover for the next volume is a student's daughter. And so we absolutely are welcoming and to people outside of our English degree. And I think you're going to find lots of different clubs, but this one as well, to be able to participate in, no matter what degree, no matter what you study.
Awesome. So thank you so much. Just being mindful of the next session's time.
Sure.
I have thrown Dr. Jocelyn Williams' email in the side there. So if you wanted to learn more about the English program, you wanted to chat one-on-one with her, you can definitely send her an email and learn a lot more about this really wonderful, engaging community, especially in that English program. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kim.
All right, have a wonderful day and we'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
All right, I'm just going to throw my own video back up on here as we introduce our next professor. Give me one sec here. I got ripped on for this Colorado Avalanche thing. Just saying it's not mine, but I do like Colorado Avalanche. So next up we have Dr. Tim Harvie from our Social Justice and Catholic Studies program. Tim, I'm not sure if you're, sorry, Dr. Harvie, I'm not sure if you're going to be turning your video on. Perfect. Also, I'll let you introduce yourself really quickly, and then you can share your desktop for that PowerPoint on the program. So
okay,
there
great.
you are.
So, Kim, do you want me to share the PowerPoint?
Yeah, if you wanted to, yeah, so that you could control it on your end.
Great, absolutely. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. I'm Dr. Tim Harvie. I'm here to talk about SJCS, as we call it, or Social Justice and Catholic Studies. Is everyone able to see my desktop right now?
Let me send it live for you. There you go.
Alrighty, so everybody's able to see this now. I'm just going to talk for a few minutes about our newest degree at St. Mary's University, a bachelor degree in Social Justice and Catholic Studies. I'm happy to say that it has been in existence for 2 years now, and it is a unique degree in Western Canada. There are some universities in Ontario that have similar programs, but none quite like this, that bring together practical elements of social justice, community mindedness, how to work towards a better world with the long intellectual tradition, the Catholic intellectual tradition that St. Mary's is a specialist in. And I want to highlight at the outset that we are bringing together two worlds of social justice and Catholic studies because our world is a complex place. And we know that it is rife with issues that people are passionate about, problems that need to be addressed. And we also know that religion has a role to play in that. That is not to say that you have to be a religious person, but we know that people's religious identities in various forms have had a huge role to play in the shaping of our world. And it's always more important to be better informed about these. And so, first of all, this degree has what we call an interdisciplinary approach. And what we mean by that is that we don't look at complex questions from just one vantage point. What we want to do is bring together several different perspectives, several different disciplines to view complex problems in multifaceted ways. And so we do this by, first of all, grounding ourselves locally. And we do this practically and experientially. One of my favorite aspects about this program is that in your final year, you have an opportunity to go out into the community in a dedicated entire course where we pair you with an organization in the city doing something that you're passionate about. You get practical job experience. You get, it works sort of like an internship experience. And then you come back and you learn how to research and think about that experience more deeply in your final capstone research project. But we don't just remain local because we know that our world is getting smaller and smaller. Everything is interconnected, right? We do something here in Calgary and Alberta, and it reverberates all around the world. And so we start local, we ground ourselves locally, but we're always looking outward. We're always keeping the entire globe in mind. And when I say the entire globe, I mean people living on the other side of the world, different cultures, different belief systems, different philosophies, but not just the human world, we're also talking about the natural world. How do our systems and our institutions and our lives impact issues of climate? How does it impact issues of industry? How does it impact other living beings, the animals in our backyard, as we live in Alberta just off of the national parks? And so we're really mindful of beginning close to home, but always casting a view more widely and more broadly. So I know many students want to know, what on earth can we do with a degree such as this? This is new, this is different, we haven't heard of it. Well, one of the great aspects of this degree and its interdisciplinary approach is that it opens doors for you. We know that moving forward, students graduating in a few years will typically have between 6 to 12 different occupations in their life. This degree will train you for all of them, not just your first one. And so think in the nonprofit sector, think social justice, think Indigenous outreach officer, social services case aide, child youth worker, a life skills coach. We have a couple St. Mary's students that are currently life skills coaches for their vocation, a community center worker or a community liaison worker, a service worker, a development worker, a drop-in center worker. If you're interested in family services, I've had a student that took many of the courses that we offer in this degree, and she has gone on to do family law now. She just graduated from law school a couple of years ago, and she's doing family law right now. And the courses that she took at St. Mary's were instrumental in grounding her and setting her on her path in that direction. A peer support worker, or a residential counselor, veterans field worker, a religious outreach worker, youth work in varying forms. If you're interested in working in a parish setting or in some other religious nonprofit setting, this degree will also help prepare you for that. And so what does the degree actually look like? Well, here are the nuts and bolts. We have all of our degrees at St. Mary's have a liberal arts core, where you've just heard about our wonderful English degree, and you'll be taking a couple courses in English. You'll also take a couple courses in the history of ideas, a philosophy course, a religious studies course, and all of this is meant to give you a broad intellectual framework, right? We at St. Mary's believe in nurturing big minds, not small minds, right? We want to expose you to grand ideas, ideas that you can take out, that you can apply and move into your individual areas of study, and that is what the liberal arts core does. Then we have breadth requirements, where this is typical in an undergraduate degree. You have 6 credits in a language other than English, and 6 credits in the natural sciences and in a math. And then you have the specific degree core. This is what is going to root you in the social justice and Catholic studies degree. And you can see we're really blending worlds here. We have a course on Introduction to Indigenous Studies. We have this extremely exciting course taught by our Indigenous liaison, Michelle Scott, and others. We have elders that come in from the nations around us. And this is an exciting course to be acquainted. What is it like to live on Treaty 7 land? What is it like to live in a world after the Truth and Reconciliation Commission? What can we do to take part? Because we are all treaty peoples. And then a politics course in politics and social justice. So this is where you're grounding yourselves in the study of institutional power and how it works its way out into the world and politics for a better place, for social justice. Then a religious studies course, which is the Catholic intellectual and cultural tradition. And this is essentially the big ideas in Western history, both philosophically, religiously, in terms of the arts, in terms of the movement of peoples, the development of nations. This is essentially a grounding in how Western thought, Western culture developed, specifically from the standpoint of the influence of the religious ideas that generated that and continue to have an impact. And then you have your capstone courses. This SJCS 401 course, this is the community service course that I was talking about. This is a unique experience, and we're very excited about it. It's where you come to the coordinator or the person you're working with in this degree, and you have your passions, you have your interests, you know what you want to do, you know where you want to make your mark and have an impact. We work with you to pair you with a community organization in line with your interests, what you want to see done. the change that you want to be in the world. And then you go out and you do it. You gain that experience. It's a practical job experience. It's a mentoring experience. You get hands-on realities and work as a part of your education in this degree. And then you return for SJCS 403 and you work it out in terms of research. You do a deep dive. You start studying this. How does your practical experience get nurtured and matured in research, right? So then you can take that and go out into the world even more informed after your degree. And so here, your research is being informed by your experience. Your research is connected to the real world. It's not removed from it. It's integrally connected to it. And so this is going to generate excitement for your research project because it's about what you're passionate about. It's about experiences that you've had and the difference that you can continue to make in the world. And so notice we've pieced together two things in this degree, social justice and Catholic studies. And perhaps you're thinking to yourself, well, what if I prefer one over the other? Good news, you can emphasize in one or the other. We have two streams. You'll always have courses that cross between the two, but you have two streams here, so you can choose to emphasize in either the social justice element, in which case you'll take more courses in the politics, in the philosophy of social justice, more courses available in Indigenous studies and the like. And then in the Catholic studies specialization stream, you'll take more courses in the history of Catholic intellectual thought, in the history of religion. You'll take courses in Eastern religions, take courses in Western religions outside of Christianity, to gain a broad exposure to what the impact and influence of these ideas are. And so we really wanted to tailor this degree to your interest and give you every single opportunity to be creative, to explore your passions, and most of all, to really think deeply about the change you want to be in the world, the impact that you want to have both in your own community and in the broader globe as you move forward. So with that, I think I will stop sharing my screen here. I can do this.
Yeah, and I will throw your video back up.
Great, thank you.
Awesome. So for anyone in our audience, if you have any questions for Dr. Harvie, feel free to type them. And as we wait for them to come in, I will ask you a couple of questions. Is that okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's great, Kim. Thank you.
Perfect. So you touched a little bit about like what the major itself is, but do you have students that pair any minors with this program, or do you know of any students with minors? Yeah.
No, absolutely. We have students that are taking philosophy minors. We also have students that are taking psychology minors as a part of this. And particularly, I think if you're interested in the social justice stream, something like a psychology minor would be quite vibrant and really generative for you, because you're learning about the practical aspects of the mind and the brain and how that works its way out societally. We also have students taking English. I know you just heard from Dr. Williams, and that pairs really nicely with both, because English gets you thinking about culture and cultural artifacts and literature and those ideas, and that is so integrally connected both to social justice elements. So many of the social justice figures throughout history were authors and wrote creatively as well, literature for social change. And also in terms of the Catholic studies stream as well, so many pieces of literature are just influential. And if you don't understand a culture's history and literature through its religious ideas, then you're not going to understand the culture itself. So I think those are really nice pairings, and we have students with each of those in this program.
Perfect. I'm going to jump to some special opportunities. So Do students, well, currently travel is not a thing, but do students in the program, do they get to participate in any travel study or any international study type courses?
Yeah, there are opportunities for this in a few different areas. We have had a travel study course to Rome, looking at Rome's history and artistic and religious history and thought. And that was extremely successful, to spend a week in the proverbial eternal city and see all of that beautiful artwork, to see the history of Rome, to see the Vatican, the religious artifacts, the culture, and be able to experience that hands-on. That is a very vibrant course. We have also had students from St. Mary's, and I think this would pair well with our degree, travel to the Ukraine. We have some connections with universities in the Ukraine. I know we also have some in Britain. And so we have these exciting travel opportunities. Before COVID hit, we were developing and working towards investigating a travel study course to Israel and Palestine, to see that ancient history, the archaeology that happens there, as well as the current culture, and talk about experiencing a culture that has some conflicts, but also such beauty and depth as well, from so many different vantage points, different religions, different faiths, different cultures and backgrounds and histories. And really, these are the examples and the opportunities of being grounded locally, but thinking globally, really becoming a global citizen.
Mm-hmm. That's really great. And, being able to go to those places where those religions kind of originated from, and really expanded out of, to be able to it can really connect with your learning, to see that firsthand.
It does. I've been to Israel once myself, and as a student actually, and to see the archaeological digs, both kind of grounded that the history of religion in a unique way, both personally but also intellectually, to see that the fantastical stories that some of us know, also have very kind of earthy realities as well.
I'm going to jump next to some teaching style questions. What's a favorite recent example you have of student learning in your class?
Well, as we all know, and we're experiencing here, we're in an online world right now. And so I'll start with that. I teach a course in interdisciplinary studies right now, LBST Liberal Studies 201. And one of the best things that I've enjoyed that's really helped me get to know my students, I'm an animal lover myself. A lot of my research is around philosophy of animals, and I have four different pets. And we actually start in that class, we start each day by sharing videos of our pets. One day it just so happened that my little dog Bones jumped on my lap at the start of class, and so I introduced him. And then almost every day after that, I've introduced another one of my pets, and students have turned their cameras on, showed us, we've seen cats, we've seen dogs, we've seen photos of horses. Last class we saw a hamster. So it just, that's been a great opportunity, but it's really kind of grounding us personally, right? We are real people with real lives, and the ideas that we learn in university are about the real world. And so grounding it in concrete connection is what I always try to do.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And again, St. Mary's connection is one of our strongest benefits and one of our strongest things that we're really good at that. What are students surprised to find that they learn in this program or in your classes?
I think how interesting history is, how interesting philosophy can be. One of the best courses I teach, or one of my favorites, is contemporary ethical issues. And that sounds, a little complex. Really just, it's what are the real problems in society? So we talked about racism, we talked about gender issues, and talked about intersectionality, how these things overlap and come together. We talked about the environment. We talked about other animals. We talked about climate. We talked about all of these troubling issues in open but really complex ways. We really patiently investigated both the history, the philosophy, the critical literature on these issues, because this is the world we live in. We live in a world right now that is fraught and filled with tensions. And how do we make sense of this? How do we navigate our way through it? These are important questions. And so that was just a wonderful opportunity and one of my favorite classes.
Yeah. Do you do any research or other projects that kind of have an effect on what you teach at St. Mary's?
Yes, so my research is quite varied, a little bit of a Heinz 57 person, I suppose. So I began in religious studies, and actually I have my most recent co-authored book here. I wrote it with a Buddhist scholar up at the University of Calgary, and it's about dialogue between the history of two religious traditions, in this case, Christianity and Buddhism, and how can we have a fruitful conversation with people from different traditions in different worlds. I also do a lot of research into climate, into the politics of climate, into the philosophy of other animals, and I've written several articles on the ethics of other animals. I've done the ethics of eating. I've done what does it mean to grieve in a world of climate change, and how grief can be a political act. And so right now that's really driving my research, the focus on the climate, the non-human world, other animals, and how we move forward. And I bring that into the classroom because we live in a world where students are going to be living the future of climate change. They're going to be living the future of species loss. How do we make sense of this? How can we work to ameliorate the situation? How can we strive for a better world together? So my research comes into the classroom regularly because these, I think, are the pressing questions that are really fruitful and full of opportunity if you're studying social justice and if you're studying religious studies, because these things come together. I've also done some work in economic philosophy. So I do teach a course on politics and economic justice. So I run the gamut a little bit, and it always makes its way into the classroom, because to me, that's what makes the classroom an exciting place, where students know they're getting the cutting edge stuff. People who are on the forefront of not just talking, but writing and researching and publishing in these ideas.
And your program sounds very future focused, looking forward and how we can make a positive change in the world.
Indeed, absolutely.
So we're almost nearing our time, so we'll have a couple more questions here. So what kinds of group projects do students accomplish in your courses?
Well, we always have group conversations in the courses. I also have had, in the Contemporary Ethical Issues course that I mentioned, I have a group debate. And so the classroom is divided into different groups, and they're assigned debate topics on one of these hot button issues that we're discussing. And so you get together with your group, and you try and formulate the best argument you can for or against, depending on what you've been assigned. But you also then try to think ahead and anticipate what your debate group, what the other group is going to be arguing, so that we can hash out these ideas. So you learn several different skills that transcends across jobs and occupations. You learn research skills, you learn writing skills, you learn how to put forward a good argument, you learn how to good public speaking, you learn how to make a case in front of your peers. All of these are essential in our world, a world that is striving for more connection. and looking in the world that is in need of clear thinkers and people who are able to articulate and speak clearly about those ideas. That's just one example of a group project in my class.
Fantastic. Yeah, and those are all very, very real skills that we need when we're going on to our job hunt after they graduate. And so it's great to hear that the Social Justice and Catholic Studies program really develops that. So we have time, I guess, just for one last question. Let me just look at my list here and see if I can give you a hard one. I guess the last one would be, this really is a one-of-a-kind program. No other university really offers something like this. So if you wanted to convince someone to come, what's the last thing that you would say to them to kind of, check out this program?
Well, I think the things I would say are rehashing what I've said. But if you are interested in finding practical skills and the best intellectual growth into making a difference in this world, in your community and globally, this is the degree for you. It pieces everything together. And so often, St. Mary's has a lot of social justice opportunities. Our students are passionate about making a difference in their communities. And this degree is tailored for people who are passionate about making a difference in their communities.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Harvie. I'm going to be throwing your email into the side there. So
Absolutely.
if any of our attendees, if you wanted to connect with Dr. Harvie to learn more about this really exciting new program, I'll be throwing that in there. And we really can't wait for our first group of alumni or our first group of students to graduate, and we can see kind of where their path takes them afterwards. So thank you so much for your time today, Dr. Harvie, and have a wonderful rest of your day and weekend.
Thank you, Kim, and thank you for everyone for coming.
Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.
All right, so it is me again. Hello, everyone. So just a reminder, we do have live event Q&A going on. So if you have any questions for our professors, feel free to type them in and we'll answer them as soon as possible. If we don't know the answer, then we'll get back to you as quick as possible. Another housekeeping thing. So if you apply today, open house day, and you enroll in St. Mary's in September 2021, that $100 application fee will be refunded to you as a tuition credit. So you're getting a free application out of it. So definitely consider applying today. Next, I'm going to be introducing Dr. Peter Doherty from our psychology program. It is one of our most popular programs, and he's really excited to be able to connect with everyone. So Dr. Doherty, I'm going to throw your video up first, and then you can share your PowerPoint afterwards.
Okay.
So there you go.
Is it up already? Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, good afternoon. Oh, wait a second. There we go. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to St. Mary's. Wish we were face-to-face and in person, but I guess it's a sign of the times with COVID that we are online. So welcome. I'm the programmer for program coordinator for psychology, and interested in our 3 programs, a 4-year, 3-year, and an honors program in psychology. So I'm just waiting for our PowerPoint to be put on so I can walk you through that and tell you a little bit more about our program, introduce you to some of our colleagues. They're not here, but I can show you their CV briefly on what they've done and what they specialize in. So
sorry, give me 1 second here.
Okay. Don't you love technology? It's just
yeah.
There we go.
All right, there you go.
Okay.
Are you all able to see it?
Everybody can see it? If I can. All right. So let's move on. Can we go to the next? I don't think can I move it? I don't know if I'm able to control it all.
I don't think so, because you would have to share from your end. But if you wanted to do that, we could.
Okay, let's go to the next slide then.
Okay.
All right, so let me introduce you to the degree. Actually, as I mentioned, there's three separate programs within the degree. So we have the 3-year degree, 4-year degree with a major in psychology and a minor and in another program or another course, and we have the 4-year degree honors program. You might be asking, well, what's the difference other than the years? Which one should I take? So let's move to the next slide. Okay, so we're going to start with the four-year program. So basically the question is, what do you want to do with a degree in psychology? So the four-year degree is for those who are going to be working specifically within psychology, so human resources, pastoral care, government service, healthcare, education, fundraising. Would be interested. Educational or addictions counselors, social workers sometimes get a four-year degree and then do bachelor's in social work. People involved corrections, mediators, occupational therapists, anybody that wants a strong background in psychology. Now, one of the key things to keep in mind is it's not the end degree for every program. Many programs do require further training, but a strong four-year BA in psychology is a good stepping stone to a further degree. Okay, can we have the next one? Okay, now we're in a three-year degree. Well, not all people want to be in the psychology field, but they want a psychology background. So for example, lawyers who are interested in forensic law may want to have a background in psychology, but take our course in forensics psychology so that they can understand their clients a lot better, understand the legal system. Social workers may say, hey, I want a background in psychology, but not to the point of a four-year. So they would take a three-year degree and then 2 years more in social work. We see the same thing with journalism, and actually the same thing with teachers who might want to be a guidance counselor or may want to work with students with special needs. May say, hey, I need a four-year degree in education, but gee, I would like to take the first 3 years getting a strong psychology background. So there's fewer options than a fourth year, but it really again depends on terms of what you want to be. And so I know for many of our education students, many of them prefer to take a 3-year BA in psychology, take a 2 years in education, and come out with a 5-year degree, 5 years of university, but 2 degrees. So that's a pretty good deal. So let's say you want to be a psychologist. You say, well, this is great, but I want to be a psychologist. In that case, you would be looking at the honors degree. And so the honors degree provides you with the necessary training in research skills that most, if not all, graduate programs are going to be focusing in on. All right. So some students choosing not to go to graduate school, but still want the honors program. They're coming in very strong and they want their degree in honors. So we have the two types: individuals looking for a degree and are looking for a degree to get into be a psychologist, and others that are just comfortable with a graduate degree. All right. So, do you have to make a decision right now? Absolutely not. The first year, everybody takes the 2 courses if we're interested in psychology, Psych 201 and 203. And these are, whoops, get ahead of me there, prerequisites for advanced psychology courses. And these are very important. Sometimes students take one and forget to take the other, and they see this exciting 300 level course. They can't do it until you take these 2. Now, psychology, so you are really getting ahead of me.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll wait until you tell me.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Kim. That's great. I appreciate your enthusiasm. That's okay. I just wanted to stress that these 2 courses are important and really are important for the prerequisite aspects in all courses in psychology. Okay, now we can switch. So sorry about that. So after you got your 201 and 203, and I remember now what I was going to point out. Psych 201 focuses more on the science base of psychology. Psych 203 focus more on the arts aspect of it. And that's really important, that psychology straddles the sciences and straddles the arts. So you may be a psychologist that wants to work in research. Well, you might be more science based. You might say, well, hey, I want to be a psychologist to help people. You might be in the some more of the arts space. And you need to have a smidgen of both, because human beings, their experience, some of it is has a certain chemical base to it, brain, that's very much in the science, behavior, actions, addictions, that's more in the arts aspect. So let's talk a little bit about the courses. You've taken Psych 201, you've taken Psych 203, you've got the prerequisites. Well, then everything starts to open up. Now, these are not all the courses that we offer. There's many other courses. I just tried to pick a few that might pique your interest. So those of you might saying, hey, I want to go into human resources, or I might want to go into designing products. And many companies hire psychologists to help design products to make them more comfortable for humans to have more comfort with them, so in designing projects. Introduction to cross-cultural psychology, particularly in this multicultural world that we live in, particularly in Calgary, with over 60 different cultural groups existing in Calgary alone. Cross-culture psychology is really a hot issue. How do we deal with people from other countries coming into our society, and how they live? What are the issues? How do we reach out to them? Is certainly within cross-cultural psychology. Forensic psychology, deal with criminals. This always gets quite popular. Theories of counseling, psychology of trauma is certainly a very popular course that we're very pleased to offer, and a brand new course in sports psychology. So you can see there's quite a wide variety of courses that'll be available depending on your interests. Okay, Kim, move to the next one. There we go. So the major program is the 4-year degree. The difference would be is you would not take Psych 500. That's reserved for our honors students, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. All right. So one of the key things that I'm going to keep mentioning over and over is talk to your advisors. Your advisors are worth their weight in gold. They are awesome. They will help you navigate through this. So I just want to give you a little smidgen is you must have a minimum of 2 400 level psychology courses by the end of your degree. So you need to keep that in mind. So when you're choosing your courses, you know, for the coming year, you might want to take a look at the prerequisites that are needed. So you might have this awesome course that you want to take, but the prerequisite for another important course is being offered at the same time. So your advisors can say, hey, don't worry, this course is going to be offered again. Take this course now. So keep in the back of your mind prerequisite courses. This is for whatever degree that you're in to take. Psychology is quite specialized, so we really encourage our students to work with their advisors to make sure they have the prerequisites to take the courses that they want. Okay. All right. Now, the next one is Psychology 312A and 312B. Well, if any course has some anxiety around it, is 312A and 312B. And these are our courses in statistics. And as soon as a lot of students hear the word statistics, they shut down and they say, oh my God, what am I going to do? And all this sort of stuff. It's math. I don't do very well in math, you know, and here I am, I have to take this course. So this is really kind of unfair because you have some really great profs who are really going to work with you, helping you with this course. It is a bit of a challenge. I won't try to fudge it for you, but you have a lot of resources to help you deal with this course, get through it, and really have some fun with it. Oh my gosh, can you imagine having fun with statistics? But statistics are really helpful. Like when we read research articles and we're looking at advances in research, how do we understand it? How do we unpack it? How do we apply it to our lives? How do we make sense out of it? And so Psychology 312A and 312B are very important courses, and we recommend taking them in the second year. And the reason for that is all your 400 level courses require 312A. So that's one of the prerequisite courses that you want to take earlier in your career. And you need to do really well in that. And so it's starting off early when you're nice and fresh and having our professors help you with it. I think you can find it to be actually kind of enjoyable. But I understand people are stressed. We're here to help you with that. Okay, next one, slide. So I said it all over. As I mentioned, talking to your academic advisor, send a follow-up email in terms of what you heard. All right, so that's often very important. Talk to your profs, and I'll be introducing to you in a few minutes. We're here to help, and there's no such thing as a stupid question. Well, actually, that's not true. There is such thing as a stupid question, and that's the one that's not asked. So we really are committed to your success in the program. So if you're running into any questions or issues, talk to your profs, give us a chance to walk you through that and help you as best we can. All right. Okay. Now, for some of you are wondering, oh, what about the honors program? I want to be a psychologist. Well, then I think that's great if you know a student, but you can change your mind. Or you could start off and thinking, hey, I just want to get through and realize you're doing very well and decide to do the honors program. Well, you must apply. It's not automatic. All right, so you must apply and be accepted into the honors program, and you do that in your 3rd year. You apply. So up to the first 3 years can be almost identical to a regular program, but in the 3rd year, you would apply for the honors program, and if you were accepted, you would take Psych 500, and I'll talk to you about that in a second. But you must meet the continuation requirements, and that is having a B average and a B particularly in Psych 312A and 312B. So it is an honors program, so we want to have students who are committed, students who are doing very well. So if you're interested in the honors program, you can't start slouching off. You got to have that B average to get into the honors program. All right, so many students apply. We can only take a certain number, so there's a little bit of a competition. So you need to take it very seriously and start right away doing really well in school to get that B average. All right. Okay, let's go one more. So what are the additional requirements? So it's 3.0 in your last two years, your most recent credits. As I mentioned, a minimum grade of B in psychology. It'd be kind of weird to be doing poorly in psychology and try to get into an honors program. So you have to be doing well to get in. So I mentioned 312A and 312B, minimum of a B average. Now these requirements don't guarantee an entrance, but they certainly put you in a good light to move forward. And the application process, as I mentioned, is in your 3rd year, which is in the spring. Now some students take 4 years or 5 years or 6 years even. So it is the best way to say it is it's the last year, just before your last year, you would make an application. All right. So again, talk to your profs. They can certainly guide you in that process. I know for many of you this is a lot of information, but I just kind of want to whet your appetite to know what's lying before you if you're interested with us, working with us on your degree. Okay. So the honors program too, you can't slouch out. Once you're in, you have to continue to maintain the average. No grades lower than a B, as I mentioned. And you must achieve a grade of B or above in Psych 500. Can't fail any courses, and you're only allowed to have a D or a D plus in a non-psychology course. So the honors program is quite an achievement. It's not offered for everybody, but those who have the grades, it's something to seriously take a look into. Okay. Now this is giving me a few extra slides here. Can we go to the next one? Okay, I think we're going to go to the next one. I thought I had blanked this one out because this is really, okay, here we go. Let's stop. Thank you. So what are you interested in? So these are some of the areas of psychology that I introduced. Some of these we've introduced already, but if you're interested in research and memory and attention, social psychology, how we act differently in groups and how we act individually, child development. So those of you interested in education or being a child psychologist, would be interested in these courses. Adolescent development, educational psychology, and adult development and aging are all courses that are designed to help people who are working with clients who are dealing with developmental issues. Industrial and organizational psychology, you might work in human resources, working with workers who are experiencing trouble at work, assisting them. Health psychology, if you're interested in working in a hospital, as a psychologist, you might be interested in health psychology, and of course, clinical and counseling psychology, which would be pretty your standard course that you would take for all of these courses that I listed above. So again, as I keep harping on this over and over, sorry if I sound like a broken record here, but you would need to get in touch with your advisors, and you'd also need to be thinking about a potential supervisor. This is a prof in psychology that would help you navigate, if you will, the courses that you would need to come up with a degree that has addressed the courses that you need to get into graduate school or into a new position or job. Okay, can we move to the next one? Okay, let's move to the next one because I think this is more about the honors program and okay, so let me introduce you to the faculty. Okay, let's move to the next one. Oh, look at this guy. Obviously, you can see this one's taken. I should get a new picture, eh? This is like my my hair has gotten a bit gray since I've been here, so this is me in much earlier days. So most of my research is currently has been done in resilience, how people survive in stressful situations. A lot of times we can't reduce the stress that we are experiencing, but how do we develop our resilience to deal with the stresses of life? How do we deal with the stresses of COVID and aspect? I'm interested in premarital conflict. I'm a big believer in working before there's a problem. So much of psychology has been focused on helping the person overcome problems that they're experiencing. I'm very much interested in helping people develop the skills that they need to avoid the problems, particularly in conflict with premarital couples. Very interested in forgiveness in particular. So I've recently written a book on forgiveness and how it's important for us to live and to live fully. And I'm also very much interested in spirituality and how spirituality impacts our psychology, it impacts our mental health, and impacts our quality of life. So this is me. Okay, the next one. I'd like to also introduce you to Dr. Elisa MacArthur, and her areas of research involved cognitive function in older adults. She's prepared 2 courses in particular to deal with aging in our society. And as a psychologist, dealing with geriatric counseling is getting to be a bigger and bigger field all the time as the average age of our population increases. So this is certainly an area that's very timely. Animal-assisted therapy, events in mood and distress. Animal-assisted therapy is certainly an area that's opening up, and also intergenerational activities. So anybody who's interested in cognition, memory, attention, problem solving, perception, and aging, if that is an area that you are interested in, you might want to reach out to Dr. MacArthur, and I'm sure she would love to hear from you to talk about your plans in this area. Okay, our next one. Our next professor I'd like to introduce you to is Dr. Corinne Cyrnick. She's going on sabbatical next year, but I think by the time you are looking at your honors program, she'll be back. And she's very interested in understanding children with social and emotional and behavioral disorders and deal with the situations that surround these development of these disorders. Developing ways to assess typical and atypical language development. Again, she works with Dr. MacArthur in animal-assisted therapy events. And so basically, if you're interested in child psychology, interested in language development or human and animal interventions, I invite you to chat with Dr. Cyrnick. I'm sure she'd be pleased to share with you her ideas for research and guide you if any of these particular areas are of interest to you. Okay, our next one. I'd also like to introduce you to Dr. Porter. Now, Dr. Porter is very much interested in overcoming social desire. Actually, his picture's in the way here. He's very much our social psychologist here. He's very much interested in attitudes and what creates attitudes, how we maintain attitudes, particularly in the face of changing situations where attitudes don't change, even when the experiences have changed. He's interested in changing attitude and what are the issues around it, and basically looking at how measures attitude is in fact evaluated and assessed and how they impact our behaviors. He's looking at personnel selection, social networking sites, and what is beautiful is good hypothesis. So I'll leave that to you. For those of you who are interested in human resources, interested in industrial and organizational psychology, he would be the individual to meet. Interested in the DITF technique and measurement and assessments, and looking at academic performance. So even if you're struggling with your academic performance, you might be someone to speak to, and he would be very interested in helping you or assisting with you, and I invite you to get to know Dr. Porter. And finally, last but not least, is our newest colleague, Dr. Alana Ireland, and her main interests are working with issues, weight-related issues, obesity, eating disorders, body image, weight loss, and health promotion. So for those of you who are interested in health psychology, I invite you to meet with Dr. Ireland. I'm sure she would be, again, delighted to learn about your journey, what you're looking for, and be a support for you. All right. And so that's me. That's my phone number, office phone number, and my email address. I realize this is very kind of sketchy and just kind of designed to give you a kind of a picture. This might seem rather difficult or kind of like all disjointed. That's all part of the process of where you are as a first-year student. I invite you to consider working and joining us. We are a small faculty, small group, but we are very dedicated to working with you and seeing you achieve your goals and seeing you succeed and being the psychologist or being the person that you want to be. And so I'll leave it up now for questions and go from there.
Perfect. So I'm just going to throw your video back up there. And sorry, I haven't been able to follow along with the Q&A here, but let me just take a really quick look.
Okay.
So are there tutors for courses like 312A if you're not particularly strong in math?
Absolutely. What I would invite you to do, we have a learning center, which is excellent, and they run numerous seminars on studying, on supporting the courses. They also have student mentors, and these are senior students who have taken the course already and have done very well and are volunteering their time to assist students who may be struggling with the course. And also I invite you to talk to your professor about that, and they can suggest specific seminars to take that will help you get through the course. And there's a lot of resources available at the Learning Center for that. Awesome. And also too, if you have questions, specific questions about the course, you make an appointment with your prof and go through it. That's what we're here for.
Fantastic. So the next question we have here is, are there courses or opportunities for work learning in any of the psychology programs or courses?
Well, we have, I think the best example would be Psych 500, where students are actually, which is our research program. And maybe I should have said a little bit more about that, pardon me. Basically what it is an opportunity where you design your own research project, and you'll be assigned a supervisor who will work with you through that project. And we often have many students who are working and can do their research at their job, and we can help them use that experience for their research project. At this time, we don't have a practicum course yet. That is certainly in the makings. COVID kind of put everything on hold, but that is certainly on the books to have a practicum course where you would be working perhaps in an agency or doing volunteer work and working with a supervisor to help you glean out of that experience some valuable experiences.
Fantastic. Now the next question we have here is, what traits or skills do students need to be successful in this course?
Very good. Well, I think one of the first things, there's two things courses that I really want to stress if you're in grade 12. Come in with a strong English course background and math. Now, why is it? What has this got to do with psychology? Well, think it through. If you're going into clinical work and you're going to be a psychologist and you're going to be counseling people, how do people get to know how good you are? You know, maybe your clients, your ex-clients will say, hey, you know, go see Dr. So-and-so, he's a great therapist. That's possible, but the vast majority of people who are going to get to know you are going to be hearing you speak. So when you do, and I often tell my senior students, get out and do some practice lectures or practice presentations so that people get to know you. And the way they're going to get to know you is how well you speak. So if you're speaking well, you're speaking good grammar, good English, and you're comfortable speaking, that's where they're going to get to know you. Secondly, in terms of math, if you're going to be doing your Psych 312A and B, being comfortable in math, or at least being relatively okay with it, is going to be really necessary so that you can do the research articles, you can take a look at and evaluate research that you're going to use for your research projects. If you're a psychologist and you're looking at a new modality in treatment, you might want to do your own personal research just to see, is this really a good modality, a good intervention strategy? Well, what does the research say? So having a good background in English and math surprisingly sets you well for psychology. And also when you're here at St. Mary's, and I'm assuming for a moment that you are, take a wide variety of courses. Take courses in philosophy and history and sciences, a wide variety. Psychology, to be a good clinician or to be a good researcher, needs a good background. I know when I went to university, I just did mostly psychology, and I deeply regret it because I would have loved now to take courses in anthropology and history and English, which would have enhanced and broadened my view. So it's kind of a long answer for a simple question.
Oh, no, that was fantastic. So we're nearing the end of our session. I'm just going to ask you maybe one last question here. What is your favorite course to teach? There's so many psychology courses, and we got a little snippet of them, but what's your favorite one?
Okay, great. Well, I am a clinician. I have a practice myself, and I work with individuals in difficulties and challenges. And one of the courses that I really found useful is my course in psychopathology or abnormal psychology. It's dealing with people with personality disorders or psychological difficulties and working with those people and helping them get a better quality of life. You know, we're not necessarily able to cure them, but we can help them deal with their difficulties. So I really enjoy teaching. When I teach abnormal psychology, I have a wealth of experiences from other events that I can help make the course less kind of out there with a list of psychological problems, but talk about people who have experienced them and kind of enrich the presentation because I can talk about, you know, clinical examples.
Fantastic. Well, that brings us to the end of our session for psychology. What we're going to do is we're going to throw your email up on the chat bar there. So if anyone wants to reach out to you, or if they wanted to have you connect them with one of those professors so they can chat a little bit more about research, we'll have that up there for you.
I'll be pleased to do that. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Dr. Doherty, and have a wonderful day.
Take care.
All right, let me get my own face back up here. Hi, everyone. So we are now at 12:30. The only things we have left are we're going to run through the Bachelor of Arts and Science programs, those admission requirements right now. And then next up, we have our Bachelor of Education program. So let me just pull up our little thing here for admission requirements. Just give me 1 second. There we go. So I believe you guys should all be able to see this now. Give me a shout if you can't. So for our programs in general, we look for a minimum 65% average over 5 grade 12 courses. So some of our programs, it's a little more specific, but I will touch base about that afterwards. So the very first course that you're going to need is English Language Arts 30-1. The second course that you'll need is either Math 30-1 or Math 30-2. If you don't have either of those, then we can also look at a 30 level language other than English. So if you did Spanish or French or German, for example. Then from number 3 there, we look at a list of 2 from this category. So Aboriginal Studies 30, Biology 30, Chemistry 30, if you had a language, math, calculus, physics 30, science 30, and social studies 30-1. Then the last group there, so group number 4 is kind of our flexible group. So it's usually any 5 credit class or 2 3 credit classes at the 30 level. So a lot of times this tends to be an option that you've taken, like art 30 or phys ed 30, drama 30, that kind of stuff. And then if you did sociology 30 or psychology 30, and those are 3 credits, we can combine those. So we look for a minimum 65% average over that, over these 5 courses. And then if you're looking to apply for biology, then for group number 2 here, you're going to need specifically Math 30-1. And then for group 3 here, you're going to specifically need Biology 30 and Chemistry 30. Now, if you're interested in our psychology program, you are going to need Math 30-1 or Math 30-2. If you don't have it, you could be admissible if you complete it before your second year, and that's because you need it for that Psych 312A class that Dr. Doherty was talking about. Now we have what's called single entry streams. So if you're interested in doing our education program, we look for a minimum 75% average. That single entry gives you admission into both that first Bachelor of Arts or Science degree, as well as the education degree. We're going to be talking a little bit more about that as well during kind of that education portion. So these are what we look for high school applicants, or if you've completed your diploma and you're looking to apply. We do have some other categories as well. I haven't put them here, but they're pretty simple. So if you are already a post-secondary student and you're currently studying at an institution and you're looking to transfer to St. Mary's, we look for a minimum 2.0 GPA upon you leaving that institution. Now, if you're a mature student, so that means that you are older than the age of 21 and you do not meet all of these high school requirements. So for mature students, we ask that they have English Language Arts 30-1 with a minimum 65%. If you don't have English Language Arts 30-1, we can also accept a GED if you have all 5 categories. I just want to touch base a little bit about kind of the student services that we have. So the main one that we have is called, there you go, the Center for Learning, Access, and Student Success. We call it CLASS. So they provide lots of different services to support students academically and mentally as well with their mental health. So we have peer mentors. So I know that Dr. Doherty mentioned a little bit about them, but these peer mentors are hired by the university. They did really well in subjects like, let's say, English or history or biology, for example, and they tutor students for free. Now, if you're the one that did really well in that class, that could potentially be a job opportunity for you on campus. We also have writing labs, so under the direction of one of our professors or faculty members, they can help you edit your essays, help you maybe draft your thesis if you need some help with that. They also offer success strategy seminars. So these are 45-minute seminars on a variety of topics, things like employment or careers, your mental health, academic success, how to do citations properly, that kind of stuff. If you do enough in a certain category, let's say you do a couple in the mental health one, then you can earn a certificate and that goes on your co-curricular record. It's just a record of all the things that you do at school. And again, those are things that can go on your resumes and show employers that you're really engaged and you're wanting to learn and develop your skills and your knowledge. CLASS also offers academic accommodations for students. So academic accommodations means that if you have a documented disability or maybe you have anxiety, for example, and you need certain accommodations. So maybe that means you need certain technology to help you write notes, or maybe you need extra quiet time or an extra quiet room in order to write your exams. We have a wonderful coordinator who is willing to sit down with you and kind of develop a plan so that you can make sure that you are as supported as much as possible at St. Mary's and that you are successful moving into your studies. So that's a little bit about the admission requirements and our student support services. I'm going to now pass this on to our Career Services and Financial Aid Officer. So it is a brand new role for him. His name is Jack, and he's going to talk a little bit about finances here. So Jack, let me just pull your video up and, oh my gosh, was my video not my, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I just saw that my screen wasn't on. I am so sorry, everyone. That is very, very awkward. I'm so sorry. I did not see those messages. Let me just pull up the requirements for high school so that you can see them here visually. That's also on our website. And then also here's the slide for our Center for Learning, Access, and Student Success. those services that we offer. I am very, very sorry about that. So Jack, yeah, let's put your video on so people can put a name to a face, and then I'll put that PowerPoint back on. I am very sorry again.
Absolutely. Good morning, everybody, or sorry, good afternoon here. We're already stretching into after 12 o'clock. My name's Jack Nodwell. I work as the Career and Financial Aid Advisor at St. Mary's University. As Kim mentioned, it is a new position for this year, just really working to try to help students out in this tough economic climate for paying for their tuition, education, etc., and then as well mitigating the process with finding anything from part-time jobs, volunteer opportunities, and then your career afterwards as well, whether you're in the camp of knowing what you want to do when you grow up, or if you were like me when I graduated from my degree and completely feeling a little lost with where you should go in the world and what's going to work best for you. So I'll just have Kim pop up the first part here. We'll delve right into the financial portion of my job. So, of course, starting out in fall, in September, it's a big change from high school, and we're here to help you out, as everybody's mentioned in student services, to really make that as seamless a process as possible. And the first part is your finances. So if you see our little teeter-totter here, it's always the best when your resources outweigh your costs. And the traditional costs are the tuition, living expenses, and your textbooks and other supplies you might need for your course. And then resources are where we in student services come in, with myself as the first point of contact. So really to find you the best means and opportunities to fund your education. So here we just have a general breakdown of the 4 things I'll be talking about in general today. So number 1, student loan, all the ins and outs of that. I'm very happy to help you with it. It can be a bit of a confusing process, and we at St. Mary's just want to be there as a support for it. Paycheck, that of course is self-explanatory between anything from part-time jobs, little gigs you pick up here or there, or even if you're working full-time as a mature student. Scholarships are a great one at St. Mary's. We pride ourselves on offering between 1 in 4 students and 1 in 5 students receiving scholarships to a major extent to help with your tuition. And then the final one is budgeting, which financial literacy is becoming more and more important as we're finding students don't have the support they need coming out of high school, and once they start their post-secondary journey, that piece is lacking a bit. So we're really trying to help fill that gap too on teaching you everything, not just university related, but even an idea about life in general with financial literacy. So I'll just have you switch the slide here, Kim. If it'll go to the next slide, hopefully. Perfect, thank you. Sorry, I apologize. My Wi-Fi is really kind of lacking a little bit here. So if there's any connection interruptions, please let me know. So we'll go right into student loans at this point. That's the one that's popping up on the slideshow here. So student loans are broken down into 2 different camps that are all included in your 1 application. So for any student who is as a resident in Alberta, you'd apply through Alberta Student Aid. Very easy application. You just go onto their website, hit apply now. You'll have to create an account and then just go through the steps of entering your information. So for eligibility, you have to be, again, an Alberta resident. It does depend a bit on whether you're a dependent or an independent student. Dependent meaning that you are generally still within 4 years of graduating from high school, you're under 23, as well as you reside in the province, of course, that's a big one, and then you're making under a certain income and still living with them. So the eligibility as non-dependent students, that does change a little bit as you are viewed not living with your parents. So the big difference really just boils down to parental contribution to your education, which for this year has been waived by the government in response to COVID-19. So it is offering more funding for all of our students, really. And that's, unfortunately, we can't speak to now whether it's going to be the case again, but very likely as trends are going that the government may be putting in those same benefits for students to take student loans. So provincial versus federal, they're both quite good at supporting this. Provincial loans are just for Alberta students. Federal loans, of course, cover any of the provinces and are included with any of the provincial applications. So if you're a student maybe tuning in from BC or Saskatchewan, those are kind of our 2 out-of-province contributors to our St. Mary's population. We can also work through with you going through BC Student Aid or Saskatchewan Student Aid. Even if you're tuning in from anywhere else, we're happy to help you, and we do have experience from almost every one of the major provinces here, and even one of the territories. So that's always exciting to help out, find students funding in really an affordable way to attend school. So course load status, that of course is whether you are a full-time or a part-time student. So full-time students are 3 courses or more, part-time students are 2 courses or below. So full-time students can apply for Alberta and Canada student loans, part-time students can only apply for Canada student loans. Moving on, loans versus grants as well. Loans are a portion of money that is lent to you, of course, by an organization, in this case the government, that you will have to pay back eventually. They do offer, of course, interest-free status while you are studying, and then 6 months past your end date of study. Now, a grant, these are the very beneficial parts of the student loans. So a grant is money that they are gifting you, that as long as you maintain that full-time status, you won't have to pay back. So in response to the COVID-19 pandemic as well, they did double the grant amount for any full-time students from the Canada Student Loan Agency. So that increased by up to $1,800 per year, where you can have money that you don't have to pay back. And touching on the application, of course, it is all done through the one application through the Government of Alberta, and that puts you in for Alberta and Canada student loans, and again, rolls you in for grants as well. If you just see on the top right of the screen too, those are the links. If you do want to start checking them out, by all means do so. You will be able to get a feel for what the application process is like, and all their information. And of course, they have very intuitive, user-friendly guides that you can check out if you do want to get a jump on loans. But really, if you're a student coming in from high school or a transfer, you don't have to start putting in that application until about June or July. And they actually won't be open until June or July as well. Just at the bottom right as well, if any of you are familiar with your My Alberta Digital ID account, this is through the Government of Alberta. It's essentially a one-stop shop for anything you need with your education. So you can view your high school transcripts on there, you can order high school transcripts. It'll also be the hub where you work with your student loans and any provincially administered scholarships, such as the Alexander Rutherford. So I'll just have Kim go on to the next slide here, please.
Oh, are you able to see that, Jack? We're now on academic awards.
Academic awards, excellent. So at St. Mary's, of course, we do have our own scholarships here. You can see starting out in entrance scholarships. So this is very attractive if you're coming right out of high school. We offer the President's Circle scholarships for students above an 80% average. And then it goes up in different increment levels and depending on how many courses you take. So you can get up to $2,500 just right off the bat towards your education, starting at St. Mary's University. And you don't even have to apply for this one. It's really nice. You just going in, we assess them right away when we get your high school transcripts, and the funding does vary year to year depending on the students who are eligible. But again, it can be $2,000+ you get right off your education just for the recognition that you worked hard through high school and you're a great applicant to St. Mary's. Alongside this as well, the Alberta government administers one called the Alexander Rutherford Scholarship. So definitely if you're in high school, ask your guidance counselor about it, or your teachers as well. They likely have quite a bit of info on it. And that one as well can go $2,000+ right to your education. It's an application of 5 of your courses as well. So it doesn't have to be your whole grade 12 year, and they do have some means of looking at some of your grade 11 marks too. So very easy way to get right off the bat. You're looking at $4,000+ right towards your education, which can cover your first semester, for studying at St. Mary's. Second one here is St. Mary's University scholarships, our internal ones. So we do offer an extensive list of scholarships ranging anywhere from $500 to full ride. So full ride, of course, being they will pay for your whole tuition while you're at St. Mary's. And you can find all of these just from our website, stmu.ca, and then under the drop down and scholarships. So you can read through all of them, see if you apply for them. Again, scholarships are like buying a scratch and win ticket, but with way better odds because you're gambling on yourself and you know exactly where you're sitting. So a great way to fund your education. They're broken down for ourselves into high school scholarships, continuing scholarships, and Bachelor of Education scholarships. So there is an extensive amount of money available for students, and you aren't competing against standing students, which can be really great if you are coming in your first year just out of high school. There are quite a few high school specific ones. So the application package goes out, I believe, in March of every year, March to April, anywhere in that range, and it will explain all the scholarships that you're able to apply for, as well as the requirements that you need. Some of them, of course, you need a reference letter, a bit of a resume for some of them, or just a letter of intent. Others, it is just based solely off of your grades and what you're coming into St. Mary's with. The third one is external scholarships. So you would be amazed at how many different organizations love helping students and have some of the wildest requirements necessary to apply for the scholarships or what they're looking for in a candidate. The benefit is that since there is such a vast majority of scholarships out there, you can almost always find one tailored to yourself. So the big ones to look at are if you are currently working, even part-time, see if your parent company has any scholarships available. The next one being your parent's company. So a lot of parental companies, in part of their benefits and fringe benefits, offer scholarships for their students to go to university. So check in with them, see if they might have any scholarships available. And the third being if for your extracurricular activities. Very common one, of course, with sports or clubs. Check in if they have any available scholarships, if you're still an active member or even an alumni of a program, if you're able to work with them to get some money towards your education. And just to the right side of the screen here, we do have just the breakdown between a scholarship and a bursary. So scholarships are the monetary prize primarily awarded for academic achievement versus the bursaries, which is the monetary prize generally given based off of the financial need of a student. So going back to that St. Mary's University awards application, they do assess you both on scholarships and bursaries if you choose. You can choose to leave out your financial information, then you'll just be valued on scholarships. And if you do include it, it will be scholarships and bursaries. So again, it's never a bad idea to apply. It's all private information, of course, protected by PIPA and FOIP, which are very extensive. So again, just a great way to fund your education. And Kim, I think I'm just going to get you to go back to slide 14 here for a minute, if that's all right. So this one's just a basic breakdown of, again, those resources to offset the costs of your post-secondary education. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go one more forward, Kim.
There we go. Perfect. There we go.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So again, just the full breakdown here. Family, this is of course your external one coming in. See if you have RESPs from your parents, what their savings are. And it's not a bad idea. Of course, Christmas is coming up, other religious holidays as well. And then birthdays, just see if maybe instead of gifts or gift cards or whatnot, if people want to help you out a little bit with your tuition. It's an investment in yourself and a great way, again, for the environment, everything of that sort, to reduce consumerism and help you out on your way to achieving your degree and in the end your career as well. Second one being your jobs, so summer jobs and part-time jobs. Again, in career services, we're happy to help you find these out if you do choose to come to St. Mary's. But summer is a great time for students to find some really gainful employment. It looks great on a resume, and it's starting to build those soft and even in some cases hard skills for your employability later on once you graduate from school. Part-time jobs, of course, are manageable with course loads, depending on how many classes you're taking. Sometimes it's a great way to still have that money and resources coming in throughout your studies. Loans too, this is again the one we covered with student loans. Personal loans are an option as well. The reason student loans are better is a very low interest rate. So currently it's sitting at prime +1 or prime +2%. So you're looking at about 4% interest, and that only starts accruing after you have finished your studies and after a 6-month grace period. So very good amount of time where you can borrow that amount of money that you need and then don't have to start paying interest until you have the means to do so. And even then, they do have the repayment assistance plan if you do run into some issues with unemployment or whatnot, that can grant you an extension of that interest-free time. Whereas a personal loan, they can get anywhere from 10% interest or above. Very expensive. Lines of credit can be a better way to do it, but again, student loans are a very good means to fund your education. Personal loans are a completely viable option as well, but again, can incur some heavier debt. Grants, of course, most administered through the government, through student loans, are an excellent way to receive funding. And there are external grants as well. Just do some Googling, especially on Government of Alberta or Government of Canada websites, and you can find some extra ones as well to help fund your education. Academic awards, again, as we've talked about, the scholarships and bursaries. The last one being contest prizes. These ones pop up, especially if you're looking into English or in some cases history too. There's a lot of third-party organizations that publish new poets, new authors, even for scientific journals in some odd cases. And you can win up, again, anywhere from $200 to quite a few $1,000s for submitting them. And getting published, of course, always looks very good on your academic resume. The final one is budgeting. So being aware of how you are spending your money is incredibly important in this day and age, especially how easy it is to purchase anything. I mean, you can sit at home in your pajamas and order X amount of things off of Amazon. You can order food off of your cell phone now too. And just always be mindful, even putting away $25, $50 a month, how beneficial that is to help offset costs of anything you might need for your schooling, be that transportation. Of course, thankfully, we have free parking at St. Mary's University, and the U-Pass is included for when COVID lifts. So it is easier to get there, but there's always those little costs that you should be aware of and thinking about. And in some cases, you can really save some money by shaving some corners off those things you don't really need, like fast food is the prime example. Save a lot of money by not going to McDonald's every time you're going out with your friends. So just something to be aware of, and something we are more than happy to help you out with in the Student Services Center with Career Services. All right, Kim, I'll just have you touch on the last side, just on employability quickly. I know we're running a little short on time here, so I think it's, number 18. So why is your degree important? Why is employability important? So developing your resume, this is what we really help you out with in Career Services to make you an employable candidate once you, pardon me? Oh, sorry. I'm just getting some feedback here on my mic. So very important that we're helping you succeed in finding gainful employment and potentially a career as well once you're graduating from St. Mary's University. So developing your resume, this is anything that you can do at St. Mary's University, from volunteering, being involved in the teams, in clubs. We also offer some opportunities in the labs with facilities, so that's working on the grounds crew and whatnot, and in the library. So just great ways you can bolster your resume, build up some experience, and as you can see from the 4 points here, volunteer experience, diversity of skills can be great too. Once you graduate with your degree, you will of course have the technical knowledge, but employers are often looking for what makes you unique. What special skills can you bring to the table if they are employing you? So with St. Mary's view on developing the mind, body, and spirit, this is where we can really hit hard and help you out as an applicant to show, hey, this student, yes, they do have their Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. They know psychology, excellent. So does anybody else with a degree in psychology who got good grades. But they worked in the library, they know books, they know sorting systems, they worked in the grounds crew, they have some tools use, they have this and that, they've got great interdepartmental communication skills. So this is where making you an employable, not cooperative, competitive applicant can really help. And again, that plays into broadening your knowledge and really learning more than just your course content, but learning employability skills, those soft skills that can make you great for hiring in a job. And our final one is networking. At a small institution such as St. Mary's, you experience people from all different interests. You're not just going to be with the same cohorts. Education is, of course, a bit specialized in that they are in a cohort. But for undergrads, you get a great opportunity to meet tons of like-minded people who are very motivated to succeed in life and very motivated to explore the world, learn different things, and you can make lifelong lasting friendships, which play very, very big into business. And when you're looking at starting at new companies, you never know quite where you're going to fit in, where employment's going to pop up. And networking also extends to our professors. At a small campus, you can make some great working relationships with them. They are in tune to industry, The majority of them are still active in research and developing themselves in their own field. So if you have access to 3 or 4 professors that you know personally and they're working on their projects, they might have colleagues they can put you in touch with for master's studies, research projects, or really help you find a place in the industry you want to work in. So I think that's going to wrap it up for myself. I'll pass you back to Kim. I apologize, I've gone a little over time here, and I believe we do have some time for questions quickly.
All right, let me just throw my own video back up on. So I don't think we have any questions coming in. But definitely if you have maybe some special circumstances that you wanted to chat about and you're wondering if you're admissible, or if you wanted to do if you wanted to chat and kind of figure out, like this program, what kind of careers can I get out of it? We're happy to talk with you a little bit more in depth, whether that be through a phone appointment or a Zoom call, anything. We will throw our email address into that chat bar there. It is visit us at StMU.ca. We'll make sure that your query goes to the appropriate person and that we have all your questions answered as soon as possible. So it is almost 1 o'clock now, which means that it is time for our Bachelor of Education session. So today we have Dr. Paolina Seitz with us. So I'm going to put up her video, and then Dr. Seitz, are you going to be sharing the PowerPoint from your end so you can control it then?
I sure can, Kim.
Perfect.
Yes, I'll do that first.
Perfect. So yeah, your video's live if you wanted to introduce yourself, and then we could get that PowerPoint going afterwards.
Okay. Well, hello everybody. Good afternoon. As Kim says, my name is Paolina Seitz. I am one of the professors at in our Bachelor of Education program at St. Mary's University, and I'm also the Faculty of Education Area Chair. It's a real pleasure to be here this afternoon and to talk about education, which is so dear to my heart. And I have been in education practically all my life, working both in being a teacher and teaching K-12, being an administrator in K-12, and now at St. Mary's University, and just excited to be there and to be here talking about education. I do have a bit of a PowerPoint that I want to go through, but always welcome your questions. So let me see, Kim, if I can bring it up.
If not, I could pull it up on my end and go through it with you.
That would be great, Kim. Could you do that? Might speed it up a little bit.
Yeah, no worries. Give me 1 second here while I get it ready for you. And should be live now. There you are.
I'm hoping that everybody can see that.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so let's, can you go to the next slide, Kim? Good, thank you. So a few years ago, 3 years ago to be exact, we revised our mission statement, and I want to share it with you because it really is the crux of who we are as a Bachelor of Education at St. Mary's University. And so the mission statement, we live this mission statement as closely as we can. And so our program supports the development of new teachers who are leaders in holistic teacher education, rooted in ethical and responsive praxis. I just want to spend just a minute on the word praxis because it may not be as common to you. And so praxis is the combination of the theory of education, the theory of teaching, the theory of learning, and then the practical aspect. So we spend time in helping our students understand the theory, and then what does that theory look like in practice? And so that's what responsive praxis is in our mission statement. Thank you, Kim. Would you like to continue? I'm just going to take a minute to also introduce Annie McKay, who's with us today, this afternoon, from the Bachelor of Education program. Annie, do you want to say anything? Not sure if you're...
Hi.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'll just say hi for now, but I'll go through the admission requirements whenever you're ready for that.
Okay. I'll just go through my PowerPoint, Annie, and then turn it over to you. Is that okay?
Yes.
Good. So our Bachelor of Education program at St. Mary's rests on 3 connected areas of focus: academic coursework, practicum teaching experiences, and ongoing professional experiences. Our practicum, you will see later when we look at the overview of our program, we have a high number of weeks where our students are in the schools with teachers and working alongside teachers, learning and practicing the art of teaching. Our program is organized on a cohort model, which means that you will be in a class of about 40 students, and for 2 years, for both years, you will stay with that group of students. And the benefits of that are that you develop some really close relationships with your colleagues in that group, and those friendships that you make will last even after you're out teaching. You have colleagues that you can talk to and you can share with. Just valuable connections that you can make through our cohort model. And our program is dedicated to fostering stewards of the teaching profession who see the importance of connecting the heart and mind in honoring the uniqueness of each learner. And I think this morning you talked about heart, mind, and spirit. That's who we are at St. Mary's University. And of course, that's who we are in our BEd program as well. Thank you, Kim. Could you go on to the next one? And so what do we offer at St. Mary's University? We offer 2 types of degrees. We offer an elementary generalist Bachelor of Education degree. And this fall, I'm very proud to say that we have introduced a secondary specialization and a choice of English language arts, mathematics, science, social studies, so students can choose from these 4 specializations. So we run an elementary specialist and we run a secondary program as well. Now our program is a degree after program, which means that everybody that is accepted into our program already has a degree. I know Annie's going to talk about this later, so I'll just say that you need to have a degree before you apply to the Bachelor of Education program. However, we also have a program called Dual Entry program, and that means that if you're coming out of high school, you apply to St. Mary's, you do your undergraduate at St. Mary's, and with the assumption that you meet the entrance requirements for the BEd program, then you are automatically accepted into the BEd program. You don't have to reapply. So there's a big benefit in applying to St. Mary's University for the undergraduate program, if you're interested in doing a Bachelor of Education. Thank you, Kim. Could we go on to the next one? So what does our program look like, and what does it look like for the 2 years that you would be spending with us? You can see on the screen that we have both the elementary education and the secondary education. And so right in the fall of year 1, you're introduced to curriculum and design courses, how to engage students, and there's a course on teaching for diversity. And there's also a course on the philosophy of Catholic education. Now, and then the last 3 weeks of that semester, you will be spending in schools, mainly observing to get a feel for the classroom, to get a feel for the school, but there will be an opportunity to do some maybe one-on-one with students or small group with students. And sometimes our cooperating teachers may even ask you to partner with him or her to teach a lesson. So there's opportunities to just kind of get your feet wet in the fall of year 1. And then in the winter of year 1, you will have 4 weeks. You will continue with your, of course instruction, and you will have 4 weeks of practica, and those 4 weeks you go back to that same school with that same cooperating teacher, and then you start teaching, you start preparing lessons with the support of your cooperating teacher, and you start to teach up to 25% of the time that you're there. And in addition to your cooperating teacher, you will also have an advisor from the university who you will meet with, who will guide you, who will answer your questions, who will come and visit you at the school. And that advisor will stay the same for year 1, whether you're in practicum 331 or practicum 337, that will be the same advisor. And it's the same whether you're in elementary or in secondary. You can see that it works the same. Kim, could we go on to year 2, please? And so in year 2, your studies continue, but you will notice that your practicum experience will increase to the fall of year 2 to 8 weeks, and then the winter of year 2 to 10 weeks. So what that means is that your courses are going to be somewhat condensed. You will have the same number of hours in the courses because it is a requirement of 36 hours. But instead of doing them once a week, you'll be doing them 3 hours twice a week, which is 6 hours of instruction per course, in order for you to complete the courses before you go out to your student teaching round. And it works the same for fall and for winter. And so what we believe is that if we give you the time to finish the coursework before you go out to practicum, then you have that time in practicum to concentrate in your practicum experience and in your learning in your practicum, and because your coursework has all been done. And we find that to be most successful with our students. And so whether you're in elementary stream or whether you're in the secondary stream, your practicum 8 weeks and 10 weeks in the winter stays the same. Some of the courses will be the same. Of course, the elementary stream will have an elementary focus, and the secondary stream will have a secondary focus. You'll be doing things like understanding curriculum and instruction. You'll be doing things like religious education in Catholic schools. For those of you that plan on teaching in Catholic districts, you will do some assessment courses where you learn fair and accurate assessment practices and collecting evidence of learning. If you are in elementary stream, your curriculum and instruction courses apply to all the subject areas that you'll be teaching. If you're in the secondary stream, you become a little more specialized because in secondary school, especially in the high school, you'll be a specialist in one of the core subjects that we talked about earlier. And so that is basically the overview of our Bachelor of Education program, both in the elementary stream and in the secondary stream. Okay, could we go on to the next slide, please? And I just want to introduce you now to our faculty. The pictures that you see is our full-time faculty. In addition to these wonderful people that you see on the picture, we have 24 sessional instructors. So I want to first of all talk about our full-time faculty. The lady in the middle in the blue suit is our dean, Dr. Sarah Toomey. And then if I could start to my right is Dr. Vergas, who is the science specialist. And the lady in the red sweater is myself, Paolina Seitz. I teach the student assessment course and the math methodology course. Dr. Hill in the white sweater, her specialization is English language learning, and so she teaches those courses. In the back, we have Dr. Trent Davies. Dr. Trent Davies is our philosopher. He teaches mostly the Catholic education courses, the philosophy of education, spirituality to the Catholic educator, and so on. In the front, with a gray T-shirt, is Dr. Wright Maley, and he teaches. He's the social studies specialist. He also is a curriculum specialist, and so he does the curriculum and instruction courses and the social studies methodology courses. We have next to Corey, we have Max Lapthorne, and Max is our practicum coordinator. She is the lady that you would see who places our students in the schools for the practicum experience. And next to Max is Kristen Springer, and she keeps us all organized. She works with our dean mainly and does most of the administrative duties to support our dean, Dr. Sarah Toomey. Thank you, Kim. Could we go on to the next one?
Yes, and I also hate to interrupt, but we did have a great question. Someone asked, do you have a choice of Catholic or not? I think they might have been referring to perhaps the courses that you had mentioned here.
Right. That's a really good question, and thank you for asking that. The coursework is the same. However, in some of our courses that might seem like there's a Catholic bend to it, we talk also about what would that look like in a public school system. And so our students we do prepare our students to teach both in the Catholic system as well as in the public system. And so to give you an example, in the Catholic system, we talk about, the guidelines of our Catholic faith, but in the public system, we talk about a mission, vision, values, statements that guide public schools. And so we do prepare you for both. Thank you for asking that question.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the next slide here.
Thank you. And so we do have an international practicum component. It's not mandatory, but students can choose to do one practicum at an international school. Taiwan, we have connections with Taiwan. We have connections with the Ukraine, and we do expand those opportunities from year to year. And so these are just just wanted to share some pictures of you, some of our students that chose to do one practicum at an international school. We want to remember too that education is governed by the province. And so when you attend university, a BEd program at an Alberta school, you are certified as an Alberta teacher. And so we want to make sure that we give you, in addition to the international practicum, we give you the experience from an Alberta school system, understanding Alberta curriculum and so on. And that is so accepted worldwide. Alberta trained teachers are very well sought after, not just in Alberta, but worldwide. So one huge advantage. Thank you, Kim. Other opportunities for learning, we have a school leadership research practice where you can choose to participate in that. And so you start into that research practicum from the very first year, and you stay within that research practicum for the 2 years. And so what happens there is that you work with some colleagues and with your cooperating teacher, and you identify an area of research that you want to work towards as you are in your practicum experience. So it's just an added component that you might be interested in. And so these pictures are two ladies that have actually done some research. And what they researched, they were in a school where the results are quite high, and they wanted to, and the collegiality in that school is very strong, and they wanted to study why that was so. Why was it so at the school? What were these teachers doing that created this kind of an environment, this kind of ethos in the school? And so while they were learning to teach, they were also researching this. And so that's just one example. Wonderful opportunity if you're interested in research as well. And WestCast Conference is a Western Canadian conference in education that you can see some of our students attended, and there's an opportunity for you to attend every year. And so again, that's a choice, but one that is available to you once you're accepted in the Bachelor of Education program. Thank you, Kim. We also have the Education Student Association, and this is a you have a choice to belong to this association but it's open to all our students, year 1 and year 2, and it is really a branch of the Alberta Teachers Association. And so the Alberta Teachers Association, as you might know, is the association that supports teachers in the province of Alberta. And so as a student and a member of the Education Student Association, you would have access to all the ATA resources. You would be able to attend they have their conferences. And so it just gives you an introduction to Alberta Teachers Association and an ability to start participating as a student in the Bachelor of Education program. Thank you, Kim. Okay, Annie, do you want to talk about the entrance requirements before we go to questions?
Yes, sure, that sounds good. All right, so I'll just pull up my presentation here.
Sounds good. And Annie, maybe while you do that, I'll just pull you up live so that way we can put a name to the face and everyone can see who you are. So I'll do a really quick introduction. So Annie is one of our admissions officers. She and our other admission officer are always busy processing applications, and so she knows best about the admissions process. All right, ready for your PowerPoint? Give me 1 second here. There you go.
All right. Can you see it there?
Yes, I think when you go into presentation mode, it doesn't work though. Okay.
All right, so I'll leave it like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome, sounds good. All right, so as Paolina mentioned, I'm Annie. I'm an admissions officer at St. Mary's. So I work with both our Bachelor of Arts and Science students and our Bachelor of Education programs. So we have the 2 Bachelor of Education programs. We have our elementary program, so that's for teaching K to 6, and then our secondary program for 7 to 12. The requirements are very similar for both programs. There's some slight differences which I will mention, but I'll start with the elementary program. So for this program, it's an after degree, so you need either a 3 or 4-year bachelor's degree to go into the elementary program. And the bachelor's degree can be a BA or a BSc, a Bachelor of Arts or Science, and it can be in another area as well. But you will need to meet some certain course requirements. So I'll start with our academic requirements. So for our academic requirements, you need that bachelor's degree, and you also need to have a 2.5 GPA. So we calculate the GPA on your most recently completed 30 credits. So that's usually the last 10 classes you've taken. You will also need to have certain courses. So we ask that at some point during your undergraduate degree, you will have taken 2 English courses, 1 math course, 1 science course, and 1 social studies area course. So that could be in sociology, psychology, history. There's lots of options. And the next area of criteria is your experience. So to show your experience, we ask that you submit a resume to us. So the resume should detail any experience you have working with kids or in a teaching capacity, any community involvement, and especially any work with children or youth. So that's a really important part of the application as well. It can be sort of your typical job resume, but you just want to make sure that you put some extra points under any related experience that you have. And the third criteria, your references. So we ask for 3 references. Your references should be from professional or academic contacts. We don't accept references from family or friends, so you do want to ask people who you trust to write you a good professional or academic reference. We have an online form that your references can use to submit, which makes it really simple. Otherwise, they're welcome to send in a letter to us as well. And for more information, you can go to stmu.ca/academic/education. Our website lists all these criteria as well if you'd like to take another look. Okay, and so for our secondary program, the admission requirements are similar, as I mentioned. So it's same three categories, so the academic requirements, your experience, and your references. So your resume and references, same thing as with the elementary area. So you need to show your work with children or youth and ask for those 3 professional or academic references. The academic requirements are slightly different for the secondary stream. So you need a 4-year bachelor's degree. You can't enter the secondary program with a 3-year degree. We have the same GPA requirement, so that's that 2.5 GPA, which we calculate using your most recently completed 30 credits from your bachelor's degree. And you will need to have those 2 courses in English. So 2 courses in literature and composition. They can be in English or French as well. And then for the rest of the academic requirements, they vary by stream. So we actually have 4 streams for this program. So if you choose to apply to the secondary program, you'll be asked to choose one area of specialization. So we offer an English language arts, social studies, mathematics, and sciences. So for each stream, there are different academic requirements. So in brief, they're outlined on this slide here, but they're also more detailed descriptions on our website as well. So it's worth checking those out if you're interested in the secondary program. So your area of specialization should be related to the degree that you completed in school. For example, if you are interested in going into teaching English language arts, you'll want to have a Bachelor of Arts in English. But if you don't, there are other course requirements that you can meet. So you can see those on the slides there, and again, more detailed information on our website. So we look at your transcripts when you apply to the programs, and then we determine whether or not you're eligible. If you're not eligible for the programs, but you are still interested in teaching a certain area, sometimes students will take some extra courses. A lot of students will take courses at other schools before they apply to St. Mary's. So that's a good option as well. If you're missing, for example, a couple of history courses and you are interested in teaching social studies, a lot of students will either take an extra year after their bachelor's degree, or they'll just sort of adjust their schedule in their last year to meet those requirements. Okay, and then Paolina did mention our single entry program briefly, so I'll just go over that quickly. We offer our single entry program for students who, right after high school, they know that they're interested in teaching. And so you can apply right when you're finishing high school to our single entry program, where you complete your undergraduate degree, so your 4-year bachelor's degree, and then you go right on to complete your Bachelor of Education. So how you get accepted into the single entry program is to submit your documents, so your resume and your 3 references, when you submit your application to your regular Bachelor of Arts or Science program. So this program is open only for students coming right out of high school. So it's kind of a special program. You have to meet slightly higher academic requirements than you do for our other programs, but you'll still be choosing a Bachelor of Arts or Science program to apply to. So you can see here the academic requirements listed. So you need your high school diploma, you need your 75% average. So that's compared to a 65% average that we normally ask for. And then you have to meet your certain program requirements. So at the end of your Bachelor of Arts or Science degree, we ask you to submit a declaration that you do want to continue in your Bachelor of Education program. We make sure you meet all the requirements for the Bachelor of Education program, and then you are accepted into that program as well. So that's for a total of 6 years.
Fantastic. So I believe that is all for admission requirements for Bachelor of Education. Is that correct, Annie?
It is, yeah.
Perfect. I'm just going to throw my own video back up there. All right, so it is 1:30. If you have any questions about our education program, our professor is still here and you're welcome to ask them now. But if not, I have thrown my email address into that chat bar there. So if you have any other questions about programs, our applications, admission, you can always reach us at visitus@stmu.ca and we will answer your queries as soon as possible. Let me just check our chat here and see if there are any questions for our professor. So there are none. So I think that will be the end of our open house today. As a reminder, if you apply today and you end up enrolling at St. Mary's in September 2021, then that $100 application fee, usually it's non-refundable, will be crediting it back to you as tuition. So take advantage of that free money however you can. Post-secondary is an investment, and we want to make sure that you get every dollar back where possible. Other than that, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. The snow has been coming to Calgary, and so I hope you guys are staying warm, staying safe, and driving safe out there. I'm gonna throw up just a slide with our email address here, so feel free to reach out to that email address. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and hopefully we will chat soon. Bye.
Thank you so much, Kim, and thank you everybody for your interest in our program.